Um, we're not going to watch Asian Boss. That's a great channel, by the way. YouTube channel, Asian Boss. It's a channel that talks about topics overseas in parts of Asia, particularly East Asia. But they do all over. Like they go to Central Asia, Middle, I think the Middle East, but most like, but they've been to Central Asia, South Asia, particularly like India, East Asia, like because they're based in both South Korea and Japan. I think one of the co-founders is from Japan, others South Korean. Good stuff. I think they had a disagreement with me once on something. Not, I won't say only me, but probably other people who thought like me as well when they were covering topics in China. And people like myself had left comments saying, I don't think these people are going to be very forthright because if they're forthright about their opinions, they're stupid because they'll probably get, you know, consequences and repercussions from the CCP government. On the other hand, most likely they're going to not. The ones who are smart aren't going to be very honest. So I think one of the heads of the channel addressed that in an actual episode. I was surprised, and the reason I thought that he may have actually been looking at me particularly because of that was because I saw the person in my Facebook people you may know. For those who don't know, on Facebook, when they say people you may know, these are often people who've checked out your page, your Facebook page. A lot of people don't know that the, the profiles that populate and the people you may know sometimes are people who know people whom you friended, but they're also people who've actually checked out your channel. And people don't know that. So these are people who've actually, I mean, not sorry, channel, who've checked out your Facebook page. So just want people to know that. Yeah, Tito, you need to chill because I remember that comment you left on my YouTube short. I'm telling you right now, if you say anything a little off-putting, I will have to exclude you from the channel, my friend. So be on your best behavior. You can disagree with me all you want, by the way. I have no problem with people disagreeing with me, but we will keep things civil. Speaking of civil, I need to turn this down before I get demonetized for it. Well, not demonetized, but this is called Beautiful Cherry Blossom Music, relaxing Japanese Zen music. But I need to turn this down. Darshan Gathwe says hello. What's going on, my friend? So let me turn this stuff down. It's a little loud. There we go. That's better. Let me set my chat filter to all so I can catch everything coming through. I think one of my moderators will be coming in shortly. I have several, but everyone has different time schedules, so it's good to have several moderators in case one person can't pick up the slack, someone else can. Um, yeah. I don't think I want to keep this music though. I've played it before. I want to trying to find some more anime music like I did last time. But again, guys, this topic is going to be fun. Like, because it's something we talked about before, but it's never actually been the actual topic. Usually, just people would divert whatever topic I had at the time into stuff. I have a lot of people who believe in woo. Um, in the skeptical community, woo is a way of referring to the paranormal or extra scientific type of phenomena. So, um, because of that, like usually I'll be talking about psychological, like I wanted to like discuss topics verging on psychology or sometimes verging on philosophy. Particularly, I did one on metaphysics, where I attempted to have a discussion on metaphysics once on a stream, but it just turned into talking about the paranormal. And that's not really metaphysics proper. Most people don't know what metaphysics proper is because they never had formal education in philosophy. But metaphysics typically refers to like a conceptual a conceptual investigation you know, of nature, as opposed to an empirical investigation of nature, which is done through science. Unfortunately, metaphysics has had a has had a poor track record in philosophy, so much so that it almost got thrown out of the curriculum altogether until it came back through the ages of philosophy of mind, which is what most metaphysics is comprised of nowadays. Although there's some traditional stuff still done in metaphysics, like like doing stuff like an analysis of what is time or reality and yada yada yada. Anyway, so I did a stream on that. That turned into just a talk about paranormal stuff. Um, so we're just going to get into it. We're going to have a whole chat on the paranormal and parapsychological phenomena. So I have, some people who follow the channel who believe in all these sorts of things. So I'm more than willing to hear them out on why they believe these things. But I, being a hard headed um, scient- scientific person, um, I will be skeptical of many of these things. But I'm going to I'm going to be open to exploring all these sorts of alleged phenomena that people might want to bring up. So, and I'm talking about all the cryptozoological things like Sasquatch and all that sort of stuff. Or if you want to talk about different realities or aliens and all that sort of stuff, everyone has these sort of bizarre ideas and beliefs. So we can hear them all out. While while I have switched, if you haven't noticed, to some anime music through the channel, The Soul of Wind. This is called 2 hour epic and powerful anime music collection. So, like I said, when I've often talked about philosophy or psychology, I get a bunch of people who really have no formal training in academic psychology nor in academic philosophy, and they start talking about stuff that really has nothing to do with what I intended to talk about. When I try to talk about psychological topics, usually everyone wants to bring up abnormal psychology, like talking about mental health problems and stuff like that, where they try to ask me advice. And I was like, I'm not a therapist. I'm not here to um, give psychological advice. Um, but they'll sometimes talk about parapsychological stuff too. And then when I'm talking about philosophical topics, it'll divert to something that has nothing to do with what I've intended either. Like I try to talk about once ontology, which is ontology is a subset of metaphysics, which deals with what things are real. And so then people started talking about all sorts of weird stuff. So we already had to ban some troll. Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna say it outright because again, I don't. If people are new to my channel, you're gonna hear it eventually. I don't put up with retards. So you come here with some bullshit, I'm gonna call you out on it, or I'm just gonna silently ban you and time you out. Zagreus says, I personally don't think time is real. Um, well, I mean, we can talk about it, but I was actually like thinking we actually talk about the stuff that people always talk about when I don't want to talk about it, which is paranormal stuff. As far as time being real, I mean, it is relative, which is what we know from special relativity. Einstein's special relativity we know is relative, but the fact that we can define and quantify it means there's something objective about it. Um, since it's one of our, physical dimensions of 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 the cosmos. So you can think it's not real, but because we have entropy, like it gives that kind of gives us time. So um, Sagri says, I think it's nothing more than a measurement of motion. Well, again, if you can measure it, then it's real. That's what you don't get. If you can measure it, then it's real. If you can't measure things that aren't real, I can't measure invisible pink unicorns because they're not real. But if I can measure time, then it's real. If it's measurable, then it's objective in some sense. When they talk about it, when they in special relativity, when you talk about time being relative, meaning that there's no absolute frame of reference for time, as there aren't for many other aspects that special relativity spells out. Mike says, "What's up, man? What are your thoughts on anxiety?" I don't know. You gotta make a more specific question. Like, what do you mean about anxiety? Again, I'm not here to give psychological advice. I'm not a therapist, and I don't try to pretend to give therapeutic advice or counseling. So if people have actual issues with mental health, they need to go see a professional. I'm not here to be anyone's doctor. Like, and especially, and I'm not going to give therapeutic advice. If people want any sort of psychological advice, go see a professional, or drop a you need to drop a cash app or drop me a super chat. I will not be giving out free psychological advice to anyone because if the counselors don't do it, I'm not going to do it either. They don't give, they make you pay per hour. So don't think you're going to get free psychological advice from me. Agnes was, hey, she's like, good night, sir, just joining. What's up, Agatha? So it's my moderator here, guys. But yeah, if you want to give a specific question on anxiety, I can answer. But just saying, what's my thoughts on anxiety? That's way too broad of a question. I'm not going to answer that because I don't know how to answer something like that. And I'm not going to give three free therapeutic advice to people because if the professionals can get paid for it, so can I. Like I said, guys, if you want to support me, if you want to ask me specific questions not relevant to the topic, right down there where you see that dollar sign, that is the super chat. Anonymous says, I'll pay you if you can explain it. No, it doesn't work like that, my friend. I'm not. Who the fuck you think you're talking to? Edgar says, Mayor Adams, is that you? No, it's your mother with my dick in her mouth. That's who it is. Edgar. Schmuck. Anyway, West Wego City says, bread dough. Yeah, try it again. So, anyway, so these are the people we can time out, Agatha. Anonymous says, I'm talking to a professional man. Okay, then talk to the professional t- to whom you get counseling because you will not get free advice from me, and it doesn't work that way that I give you advice and then you pay me after the fact if you like the advice. We don't work that way here. That's not how it goes. In live streams, if you want a specific question answered, you drop a super chat. That's how it works. You see that thing on your screen for a super chat donation. You ask the super chat question, then it gets answered, not the other way around. Prick. Anyway, and again, I am not your counselors, guys. And this is not that sort of stream. Uh this ridiculous world said Trump 2025, the revolution has begun. Don't you mean Trump 2024? Well, yeah, I guess 2025, that's when his um presidency starts. But I was thinking Trump 2024 because that's when the election. But yeah, either way, I guess. To answer anonymous question, why don't you get a job to make money instead of begging on super chats? Um, Bruh, it's 10:30 at night. What do you think I'm going to be doing at 10:30 at night? You dick gargling bitch. And you're the one asking me questions, dumbass. So if you want your question answered, you will give me a super chat for it. You need to go back to counseling. Edgar says, well, if your mother's a nigga, then that's your problem, bitch. That means you are one as well. You're kind of stupid. You don't, something doesn't click. That's half your DNA, dummy. Leon says, chill. Nah, I'm going ham on fucking retarded trolls. Half of you are fucking retarded teenagers. The other half of you are just retarded ass adults. And either way, if you come here with the bullshit, I'm gonna throw it back at you because I don't give a fuck. Anonymous, suck a dick before you get kicked out of this channel. You come to my channel asking me a question because you want free information, and then you're the one crying because someone said you need to throw a super chat if you're going to ask someone about for psychological advice. Because where else would you get psychological advice other than your mother after she sucked my dick? That's where, because she knows how to really rotate that tongue really nicely, back and forth in a figure eight motion. Octogram says you have the best retard pronunciation. Looks like you heard it a lot. Yeah, we heard it when your mother and I were discussing you riding a special little short bus every day with your little dunce cap. But while you on the bus, you had to wear your little football helmet so you don't break your little fucking head because you were special. So we had to discuss that while I was, clapping her cheeks every night. But rest assured, I'm not your father because the monkey beat me up the steps that day. So anyway, guys. So aside from the trolls, like I said, usually when I discuss like topics veering on philosophical, conceptual issues or psychological issues, people want to talk about paranormal. So that's what I was saying. In this very topic, we can actually talk about those very paranormal stuff that I try to avoid because I don't really honestly believe in most of that stuff. But I'm willing to hear people venture into those sort of topics. JD says, is this man okay? I'm very well. The thing is, I will clap back at people because I'm Generation X and we don't give a fuck about millennials and Gen Z and Gen Alpha retards because you're soft, low testosterone motherfuckers who can't take what you give out. So that's why. You can scroll up, JD, and see what they were talking. this trash they were talking, and that's what I'm throwing back at them. I'm not, if you think I'm on a, if I'm crashing out, I'm not. I'm actually having fun. They think they can get me off game by being retarded, but at the end of the day, they're the ones on my channel. I'm not on their channel. You see how it works? And the more they respond, it just helps me out. And they don't realize that. Sky says hello from Britain. What's up, Sky? Dude, you're not gonna whip anyone anonymous. First of all, you know I will whip your ass on any given day in real life. You would never talk to me in real life and talk out of term because you know I will fuck you up. This this ain't just a shirt I bought. But you've earned yourself a ban. Anyway, Slade says, "Do you like Forrest Gump?" Yeah, it was a good movie, if that's what you mean. JD says, "Calm down, bro. You can't tell, but I'm very well relaxed. You probably can't read facial expressions, but if you look at my facial expressions, you can tell that I'm pretty well relaxed. Because I'm firing back at folks doesn't mean that I'm upset. It means that I'm of a generation, Gen X. You obviously are not Gen X, JD. You're probably a millennial or even Gen Z. You don't realize that my generation, we used to roast each other every day for fun. So seeing younger people trying to disrespect us, it ain't gonna work because we literally did this back and forth every day at school for fun. So when you try to disrespect us, clown us, whatever, we will fire back at you harder than what you did. And rest assured, I would be even worse if I wasn't monetized. It would be so much worse. I'm actually pretty chill. Um, YKTV um, says we need to start washing our hands more than 10 seconds. That's okay, but that's pretty irrelevant to the topic. But yeah, please wash your hands per necessary. Slade says, "Do you?" Oh, already answered that. Sorry. Fahid says, "Just ignore the haters you're giving them fuel, my guy." No, you don't understand, Fahid. When they keep going, that just adds to the chat because it feeds the chat room. I'll fire back at them. They can't do anything. When I get tired of them, I just ban them from the channel, as I just did that one guy anonymous. The fact that he calls himself anonymous means he's a troll. Rest assured, what these people don't know is that I have moderators who've let me know that they've been on their channels as well. They cruise from live stream to live stream because they are losers in real life, and they don't think live streamers talk to each other and know that these same people have been on their live streams doing the same stuff, saying the same things. We My moderators have their own YouTube channels, some of them. So I already know some of the BS that they're saying. 365 says, "Don't worry, boss. We'll back you and jump them." No, I'm good. I can fight my own battles. Again, I'm an army of one. So I don't know if they heard, but they should check out some of the content I've provided. Um, Augustin Bros are much emotionally regulated because he was born in a certain year. Um, no, what I'm saying is that I'm Gen X from 1965 to 1980. We clowned each other for fun back then, whether you called it cracking, joning, playing the dozens, snapping, joning, and all the other things they called it. We did that every day for fun. We had we had snapping contests where we would just literally just roast each other for contests and people would decide the winners. So younger folks coming in trying to insult us won't work because we are better at it than you because we've done it for a longer time. We've done it to points to levels where it was like semi-professional contests out there where we roasted each other. If people don't realize that, they can take a look at the old Chappelle show when he had the player haters ball where they literally were just roasting each other. That's what we used to do. So these trolls coming in who's like anywhere from like 13 to 30, and if you're over, honestly, if you're over 18 and you're trolling, you need to you need to readjust your life because you coming on live to troll content creators is pretty losery type stuff. And to assume that I'm broke because I'm doing a live stream saying you need to give me a super chat for your time, asking me questions, shows how dumb you are because you're literally on my live stream asking me a question that you want to be answered and thinking you're going to get it for free. No. And it's like it's 10:30. What do you think I'm going to be doing at 10:30 at night? I'm, I'm supposed to be working at 10:30, unless you work at a overnight factory warehouse. No. If anything, I should be sleeping. um, so I think we got a first paranormal question. So Mister says, ever heard about the Star of David and how it's actually not the Star of David, but an ancient occult symbol called the Star of Remphan, who refers to Babylonian god, also known as Chian, the god of Saturn? No. I think some of that is quite confused because the the god of Saturn, like Saturn, is literally named after a Roman god, which comes much later than the Babylonian the Babylonian tales. So that really doesn't make sense. They didn't even know of the existence of Saturn back then in action in the Mesopotamian times. This was something that was later discovered by the Greeks and the Roman astronomers of the. So that doesn't make sense as far as whether the Star of David predates David himself. That's very likely because we don't have any. There's very little historicity of King David actually existing. To be honest, I mean that's probably a different topic, but actually, let me put on my glasses too, so I don't have to squint while I'm looking at these comments. What's Moonlit is in the house? What's up, Moonlit? Gia says so emotional and dramatic. You can try to sign language somewhere else, Gia. You're not going to come here and say that any guy who can voice his opinions is emotional and dramatic. Try that little black girl magic misogynoir bullshit somewhere else on some other channel to some other simp that will take you seriously because they want to fuck you or something. Because I have no interest in you, and I will not placate your bullshit sign language here. Y'all era was over. Once Kevin Samuels put us on game, that shit is over. Y'all not gonna come here and sit there and try to emasculate black men and say, oh, if you can um, articulate your views, then you're being emotional and dramatic. No, I'm not. The fact is, if people come here trolling, I'm a roasted dumbass. That's what's gonna happen. If they come here trolling, I'm a roasted dumbasses. You can call it emotional dramatic if you want. I call it transference. uh, Creek Squad Wolf says, thanks for your service, brother. Go Army Strong. Thank you. Appreciate it. Creek Squad. But he says, it takes a toll on your mental health, believe me. No, it doesn't. Dude, do you think it's hurting me? It hurt. Who do you think? Look, if I'm the content creator, if I'm making money from this, but these people are coming outside of coming to my stream to ensure that I get paid from doing this. Meanwhile, they're losers in real life, so they have to go behind the anonymity of a digital screen to try to voice opinions that they would never voice to people in real life because they know those people will punch them in the fucking mouth. then who's the one with the mental health problems? They are. Anyone who would troll a content creator are the ones with the mental health problems, not the content creator. Now, if some content creators crash out because of that, they just have a weak foundation. Rest assured, I'm not built like that. I'm built for it tough. So because I will crack on them and make them feel sorry that they ever voice their opinions. Part of the game. If they don't want to be roasted, they'll they'll shut the fuck up and keep those uh, opinions to themselves, won't they? Moonlit Fern says, "Play with me, trolls." Exactly. Sky says, "Like and subscribe." I think you're an awesome guy. Thanks, Sky. But back to my man, Mister, if he's still here. Yeah. So again, I don't know too much about the Star of David, honestly. But like I said, if you think it does predate David and goes back to some Babylonian or other Mesopotamian um, religious uh, symbology, then that's possible because there are other things from the Bible that actually stem back to Babylonian beliefs, like like the story of Noah and the flood. That goes back to um, one uh, the story in the Epic of Gilgamesh. Epic of Gilgamesh is I believe the first book that we know of that was ever written, and it's the first epic poem, by the way, as well. And in that tale, this one of the cities, I think of was um, was completely flooded, and so that whole story of Noah and the flood, you know, goes back to the Epic of Gilgamesh. So if the Star of David goes back to Babylonian times, possible. So does Gozer the Gozerians. I'm playing. Um, YKTD YKT Dill 2247 says you were born in the year of chicken. I don't know what the year of the chicken was, but if that's a racist thing, I don't know. I don't know if you're actually referring to an actual Chinese astrological sign or if you're just trying to be funny and be racist, which doesn't work because, again, chicken is delicious. And if you ever left your country, you would know that people eat chicken all over the freaking globe. So to try to make it a stereotype of black people doesn't even make sense. It just shows that you never left where you lived to think that that only can be ascribed to black people when literally everyone across the world eats chicken. Like KFC is a whole freaking Christmas tradition in Japan, but people wouldn't know that because they don't fucking travel because they're a bunch of little broke hillbillies that don't know anything. Anyway, Fahid says, I'm a Gen Z therapist. When you clown your friends, it comes from a loving place. That's different. No, no, dude, I don't know if you're a real therapist or not, but again, first of all, there's different therapeutic approaches. I don't even know what your approach is. Personally, I don't take any approach other than cognitive behavioral therapy to be scientifically based therapy. There are eclectic approaches of which I'm aware. Um, uh, that may blend different approaches like the humanistic with cognitive and behavioral and psychodynamic and stuff like that and take sort of the best of each approach. But setting that aside, that's that has nothing to do with therapy, dude. Roasting people. Um, Most of the times when we were younger, and I'm referring to Gen X and older millennials as well, when we were clowning each other or roasting people, they some of them were friends, some of them weren't. They were just peers, and sometimes it could get ugly. Some people might feel a certain way after they got insulted and want to fight you. So be it. Like there have been there have been many fights that involved that have revolved around being clowned around other people and they feeling bad about it. Then I mean, if you don't want to step into that territory, then don't open your mouth. So if you think I'm gonna like hold my peace to be the better man when people troll, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna be the better man. I'm gonna do like Bill Maher says: when people go low, we kick them in the balls. I'm not Michelle or Big Mike Obama, where she say when they go low, we go high. Fuck that bitch. When they go low, we kick them in the balls. That's what we do over here because we're men. And that's why we celebrated International Men's Day yesterday because we celebrate masculinity on this channel. We don't bitch up and we don't kowtow to trolls. I'm only friends as Gen X for life. Keep playing, try it with me. Exactly. Just as 10:30 here as well, huh? Oh, so you must be on Eastern Standard Time, Jess. I'm here in Maryland. Moment for instance, like sharing sub, it's logic, it's obvious. Oh, you are from Maryland. Okay, cool. What's up? What part of Maryland you from? I'm in Woodline. Um, Tito says nope, it's just Gen X doing what Gen X does, which is roast, take it and move on. Yeah, like I said, Tito, if they don't want to get roasted, then they shouldn't open their mouth. Like I'm mad chill. Anyone who's been on my channel, on my live streams, know I'm mad chill. I don't go out seeking, you know, to roast people. But you know, if they come here with the shits and giggles, I can fire back because I got the tools, we got the talent. Just as LOL, I had to put my glasses on as well. I know, right? Because I'm doing a vertical live stream, so it makes it harder to see. I'm going to do a PC live stream one of these days, guys. Um, the, the the PC is on the fritz right here. Like I have a PC right now, but it doesn't have a good camera on it, so that's why I haven't used it. And then my laptop, I had to throw that away because it burned out on me. And then my other laptop is with my wife, so Carl T says good evening, Major. Major, I'm not a major. I wish I'm E4 Mafia. I never made. I'm not a major unless that's a unless that's a unless that's an allusion to another character. Feed says that's called toxic masculinity. It's that coming from a woman. What? So, bro, I've done a whole stream on so-called toxic masculinity. That's just gaslighting. Basically, anything that they don't like about men, they just call toxic masculinity, and it's bullshit because if you are a therapist, as you claim to be, you should know the origins of that concept. The origins of toxic masculinity, which was originally called hypermasculinity, actually comes from cross-cultural research where young men um, from uber violent communities um, display hyper masculine behavior. What it is that these communities tend to be fatherless communities, whether these are communities that are that are war torn cities, um, or like the inner city of American ghettos, um, or really poor third world villages. Either way, the men are missing in that community, and as a result, usually there's nothing but women to raise these children. The men, the boys, end up um, revolting from the feminine behavior of their caretakers, the women in their lives, the mothers, the aunts, the grandmothers, the sisters, and instead take on hyper masculine behavior to kind of overcompensate for the lack of there being any sort of males in their life. and that usually ends up in them being very violent and aggressive. Typically, there's a lot of gang behavior and violence and militarism in these sort of communities, and that's the origins of the concept hypermasculinity, which is now called toxic masculinity. But what people now call toxic masculinity is complete bullshit. What they call it now is just gaslighting anything that is basically um, the behavior of men that women don't like. And we're not going to fall for that. And I did a whole stream on that. And again, if you are a therapist, you should already know that. Anyway, Sky says I was at a friend's house chatting and I could sense something in one of the rooms. Anyway, I was looking in that direction when a male voice said, "What?" We both heard it and only us two in the house. Okay, so that's something. So that's actually something very common that happens is hearing things. Now, to be sure, like if if you've ever taken a psychological evaluation and you ever say that you've heard voices, they will immediately check you off as having mental health issues because that's usually the key indicator of someone with some sort of schizophrenic um, sort of problems. However, we all do occasionally do hear things. Doesn't mean that actually you actually heard something. The thing is, just like you have visual, you can sometimes have visual hallucinations. You can have auditory hallucinations as well, where sometimes you'll hear something that wasn't said, just like you can sometimes see something that wasn't present. A perfect example is like you living in a home with family, and you thought a family member called your name, and you go out to them like, "Hey, did you just call me?" They're like, "No, I didn't just call your name." I'm like, "Oh, my bad." So that's just a common thing that happens. So it's just a for lack of a better for lack of a better word, it's just a mental glitch. Okay, but rest assured that those sort of um, auditory hallucinations do happen to all of us. It only becomes a problem when someone's actually talking to you that's not there. Then you should see a professional. But every once in a while, if you hear something like you think you hear your name, you think you heard someone say some word and they're not actually present, that's just normal. That's just the normal everyday psychopathology of everyday life. You should only be concerned when you're actually having a conversation with that imaginary voice. Um, Moonlit Fern says like, sharing, sub plus super chat. Zachary says not being funny, but you're certainly not making money from this. Your content gets double-digit views. Um, so here's the thing: how this works, bro. Because I upload these, they get replayed. When they get replayed, YouTube plays ads while this goes on. So I am indeed getting monetized from it, my friend. On top of that, the more people interact, the more the algorithm will recommend the content to other people on YouTube. So again, indeed, I do make money from it because you don't understand how that works. That's your fucking problem. Carl T says you don't believe in freedom of speech. Yes, but you obviously don't know how freedom of speech works, bro. Freedom of speech is a constitutional right. It has nothing to do with someone on the live stream. Freedom of speech means that the government cannot censor you for your speech. That has nothing, literally nothing to do with this. Some of you never taken civics, and it shows because you don't understand basic constitutional things like that. I implore you to maybe read the uh, the Bill of Rights, or you can read the entire Constitution, all you know, 26 amendments. But you should probably at least know the Bill of Rights if you're American. If you're not, then so be it. But I can't speak for other countries. But freedom of speech has literally nothing to do with this here. One, freedom of speech is a constitutional right? Which means that the government cannot censor you for your speech. That has not, which is what people don't understand when it comes to private businesses as well. When people say, "Well, they took away my freedom of speech," no, they didn't. That was a private business. If they don't like what you said, yes, they are free to fire you. That has nothing to do with freedom of speech. What they cannot do is have the government come after you for what you said or did. I mean, said or expressed. That's how freedom of speech works. Also, I, if you were here in the beginning of this chat, I clearly said that I have no problem with people disagreeing with me. What I but the proviso is that you will be civil, or I will ban you from my channel, as is my right. Because it's my channel. I am the content creator, and if you don't like it, go create your own fucking channel. But again, I've said this on this stream in the beginning, and I've said it in every single stream that I do, that I have no problem with people disagreeing with me. I disagree with people all the time. Even my moderators and I disagree on topics, but we're civil with each other. Civil discourse. If we can't have civil discourse, I will ban you from the channel because it is my right, and I don't give a fuck what you think. And if you maybe took history, you would know what freedom of speech is. You should know what the First Amendment pertains to and what it doesn't. Freedom of speech and First Amendment generally does not pertain to private entities. It pertains to the government censoring citizens. Fahid says men are human too and have emotions and they need a healthy outlet for it go off. My guy, support you. Dude, I'm not going off. I'm just throwing back people's bullshit at them because I can do that. And like I said, I'm Gen X, so the problem is, see, you're Gen Z, you don't know anything about my generation. You should probably read up on us, especially as a therapist. You're going to deal with different people from different generations, and although it would be an overgeneralization to say that every person that falls within those generational brackets will fit those sort of things to the T, because they won't. There are going to be general differences in people's Weltanschauung or worldview. Sorry, I'm trying to use big words. Is but yeah, and people are going to have different Weltanschauungs based on their different generations. You as a Gen Z won't. Again, if you are genuinely a therapist as you claim to be, one, you should know how different generational brackets break down into different sorts of worldviews. Gen X are known to be kind of sarcastic, snarky folks. And if you want a better sort of like a cliff notes to Gen X, you can just kind of like watch our movies from our generation. Um, you know, uh, The Breakfast Club, classic. Um, Clueless was probably like at the very end of Gen X movies, like Clueless, Mallrats, um, um, and a bunch of other movies. Just as I've had a few sleep paralysis moments, it's so hard to explain to people the realness of them when they never experienced them in their life. Yeah, it is freaky, right? Like you'll wake up, but you can't move for like a few seconds. That's always a little freaky. That hasn't happened to me in a while though, Jess. But yeah, it is weird. Like you'll wake up and you'll be like you're just like completely like paralyzed. But usually only it usually only lasts for like I think like a few seconds or so. But it's just though but in those few moments it seems like a long time because you can't move, like you can't voluntarily move, so it does feel freaky. Yeah, sleep paralysis happens. uh I don't know if it happens to everyone, but it is, it's pretty common. I know it's happened to me several times. The first couple of times it happened, I was like freaked out about it, but then it was just kind of like, oh, okay. It didn't freak me out anymore. I was just like, oh, okay, well. Moonlit says they didn't get the Gozer reference. Never watched Ghostbusters. I know I clearly he didn't because when he was talking about the Babylonian stuff, that's why I was mentioning Gozer the Gozerian, which I think predates Babylon, the Sumerians. Because it was funny because the Ghostbusters were pedantic. They was like, no, not Babylonian, Sumerian. So, but yeah, they won't get it, Moonlit. Not until they have a Stay Puff Marshmallow Man come sit on their church. Now, but he says sleep paralysis has a scientific explanation. Dude, you, I know it has a. He don't know who he's talking to, but like, dude, I have a background in psychology. I just don't like talking about my degrees every time I'm having these conversations. I have a background in psychology. That should be evident. I know what sleep paralysis is. I was just telling Jess that it's pretty common. That's what I was telling her. Like it's a common experience for folks because you're basically you're waking up and you're still in the deep stage 3 of sleep. So you're still in a stage 3 of sleep is typically when your body is in a catatonic state, but you wake up in that deep states, so your body has to adjust. I know what how sleep paralysis works. It's a pretty common experience. Like when you're going through your different stages of sleep and you end up waking up and you're still in a stage 3 deep sleep, so your body is still paralyzed. Agatha says, so true, Fahid. Sometimes people think men don't have feelings and feel hurt. Very true, but again, my feelings aren't hurt. I'm just roasting people who came here think they control. That's all I'm doing. Jason says, were you in the army? Yeah, yes, I was. Just as yes, I have, but swear it feels so paranormal. I've had a thing open my bedroom door and make growling noises and come to the foot of my bed. When I would finally be able to move, I noticed the door was closed. So, wow, that gets into another aspect of like abnormal psychology, which was the belief in uh what they call them, the succubus. Like people used to believe part of that the old explanation of sleep paralysis was that people used to believe used to believe that demons called a succubus would like sit on your chest or something like that when you in your bed at night alone, and that's why you couldn't get up because they were literally like sitting on you, keeping you from moving, or they would be at the foot of your bed staring at you and making noises. Rest assured, I don't know if you have a cat or a dog, but it, it is super. And then the other problem is just that, like, when you're waking up, you're not completely rational yet. So if you're someone who's already prone to certain supernatural beliefs, then those are going to be probably the most ready explanation for you for those sorts of phenomena well, for those sort of experiences when they happen. Because like I said, when you're waking up, you're not completely rational yet, right? And so if you're waking up out of a deep stage, if you're waking up out of the stage 3 sleep, like I said, and so you're in sleep, so you're still going to be temporarily paralyzed because the body is paralyzed on stage 3 sleep. It's going to feel weird and otherworldly, right? And you may still be experiencing some of the things you were 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 thinking of while you were dreaming, right? Although typically you don't dream in stage 3 sleep. Usually it's like just pure blackness. Like you typically dream in your REM sleep. Stands for rapid eye movement. That's usually the stage where you where dreaming is initiated. But like I said, in that state of um, in that conscious state where you're just getting up, it's going to feel otherworldly when you're in a sort of sleep paralysis and your mind is still kind of foggy. So if you're hearing things, those it can seem otherworldly until you get, till you get to your sort of right state of mind, if that makes sense. Fahid says that's why loneliness and depression and suicide are higher in men. That, and they need, one thing I tell people to do, Fahid, is they need to work out more, especially men. Men are more visceral, so for them, uh, exercise benefits both sexes, but it has more of a therapeutic effect on men because men are more visceral, so they will respond more positively to physical to to the physical stresses of exercise than women will. It will alleviate things like anxiety and depression in men more through constant exercise than merely sitting on someone's couch and discussing their problems. So most men who feel lonely and depression need to hit the gym. This guy says, "Yeah, that's what I'm saying." He said, "Far and few between." Thank you, this guy. Just thinking about sleep paralysis makes me scared all over. And since you're in Maryland, Jess, feel free. You can always hit me up on Instagram and Facebook. My links are in the description. So when the stream is over, you'll see the links in my description. But you guys can reach out to me on Instagram and Facebook at Aman Just a Contrarian, all just one word. Aman, AHMAND, Just AUSTA, Contrarian, CONTRARIAN, all one word. Aman Just a Contrarian. So um, I speak to some of my followers, well, my moderators off, you know, um, on those platforms as well. Oh, you're in Baltimore, really? Oh, wow. So we're literally in the same neck of the woods. That's what's up. Like I said, I'm in the county. I don't know if you're in the city or the county, but I'm across from like where Security Square Mall is. Fahid says in Britain, every 2 hours we lose a man to self deletion. I don't want to use that word, bro, because um, those sorts of terms are discouraged on YouTube. Not because they dislike the words, but for it's bad for ad suitability. So that's why they don't want certain discussions or certain words being said on here because it will chase away potential ad revenue for YouTube. And at the end of the day, they are a business and they want to make money, and that's usually through ad revenue. They are chasing sort of the same sort of ad revenue that the big name TV channels are now. Like if you look at YouTube advertisements now, you'll see the same sort of commercials that you'll see playing on NBC, CBS, and ABC. So Mula says, "Yeah, I'm rocking glasses too at the moment. Yeah, because it's making it easier for me to read the screen." Just as, "Yeah, I wear glasses at night. Contacts irritate my eyes after a while." I've never used contacts because I was scared to wear them. I remember back in the '90s, I wanted them, even though I didn't need glasses back then, because I just wanted to change like the color of my eyes. But I'm glad I never did that. She said I just subscribed. Thanks, Jess. Well, I am thinking she. If not she's, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sorry. Melissa says like and share to your friends. Jess, it's a good community here. Stick around. Jess is definitely Will Hun. I can tell already. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. I definitely know she's from Baltimore, guys. She said Hun. That is such a Baltimore word. Like the whole "Hey Hun." That like there's literally, I don't know if Jess knows this. There's literally like a whole book on um, the dialect of Baltimore, and it's called Hey Hun. And they traced it and found out that the the way people speak in Baltimore actually can be traced to a particular region of Britain in the UK. So Pickle said you look like a gay Uber driver. I guess you would know because your father does it. He being a blue oyster every day, getting his cheeks clapped raw, just ridden with HIV. and pass it on to you when he deep throats you on Christmas and Thanksgiving. Pickles. What's up, J.A.C? He says evening. Justice, hello, J.A.C. He's one of my regulars guys. Agnes says thanks just for your sub. Yes, thank you again. But he says you must be really proud of yourself, Pickles. We don't worry about him, Fahid. We don't worry about them over here. Like I said, I showed you. They come here with the troll and I clap back. You know, those who laugh last laugh the longest. Jess is no problem, Agatha. And yo, she's in my guys. Jess is in my neck of the woods, so we definitely need to touch bases um, off the live stream. Steven says you believe in lizard people. Would that be paranormal? Yeah, that would that would definitely be in the paranormal. Lizard people. You talking about like the old belief in like the people that live in the sewers, that sort of lizard people, or the lizard? No, I'm sorry. That, no, that's the. I'm sorry. I'm confusing. That was the belief in like the alligators in the sewer thing. The lizard people, I think, was a old belief coming from like 40, 50 years ago that people were being replaced by lizard people. That would definitely fall within the whole extra scientific paranormal sort of line of thinking. I think like I was saying yesterday on the stream that had nothing to do with the paranormal. I was telling folks that because someone was talking about the whole aliens and other sort of stuff, and I was like, the problem is in 2024 where we're right dab in the middle of the information age, everyone has a smartphone, that it'll be hard to hold secrets about secret societies or secret or cryptozoological animals and monsters in this day and age because we will have ready access to and everyone would be trying to it would quickly go viral, not to mention that anyone who could prove that such sort of mysterious things happen would get instant fame. And so of course anyone who could like show that any sort of weird things are actually occurring, it would be worth their metal to actually prove it and get all the accolades that they could for it. And it would be really easy in this day and time when everyone has like a professional level camera on their phone and can instantly send it across the world to everyone else through social media. Just as LOL, I love the Breakfast Club, missed those movies back then. Right. I got a bunch of classic DVDs here that like well not like 80s stuff per se. Well, Karate Kid is definitely 80s. That's one of my movies I have. Ghostbusters is another one. Um, well, Ninja Turtles is 1990, but sort of still. But yeah, I love 80s movies. That's like my favorite era of like movies. So Breakfast Club, Karate Kid 1 and 2 and 3. Although 3 kind of sucks, but 1 and 2 definitely. Um, all those uh Chris, what was the guy named Chris Colum? Not Christopher Columbus, but like the guy who used to make all those teenage '80s films, like Pretty in Pink and Uncle Buck and all those movies. That guy did movies with like John Candy and all those like basically like every classic like '80s teenage film. Like he was the guy who made those like all those movies. Uh, my favorite one, probably my favorite '80s teen movie is Real Genius. That's one of my favorite ones. Ivan Yordi, what's up, my friend? I think he's saying he's from Ecuador, but I can't read everything. He says Saludos desde Ecuador. He says I love the Breakfast Club. Okay, so that kind of gives you a clue on some of Gen X stuff I eat, but that's you still got to watch way more than the Breakfast Club. Like um, a good one for like about the black experience for Gen Xers, even though it wasn't made in the 80s, it was actually made in the 2000s, but it's about growing up in the 80s, in '90s was called a movie called The Wood, starring like Omar Epps and t- t- uh, what's the guy named Tay Diggs. Um, has a really good film about how it was for like a lot of black kids growing up in the '80s. It's called The Wood. It's really good. The Wood mean it was talking about an area in Los Angeles back in the '80s. So it's pretty good. Argonne Noble says, "Do you think Malcolm X's philosophy of black separatism and segregation would have benefited the black community better than the nonviolent integration approach of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.?" Mm, in some respects, yes. In some respects, no. One look, the thing is, and this is what people have to realize when we get into these little conversations about black power and integration versus separation, all sort of things. There's benefits and trade offs to everything. So there's never going to be something where there's not a trade off. I think the trade offs of segregation are worse than the trade offs of integration, because the problem is the whole problem with segregation, with the thought process behind it of separate but equal, was that there was not it was separate but it was never equal. So um but yes, one of the benefits of the segregation is that there were more black owned things within the community. The dollar circulated more in the black community before it left the community during the eras of segregation and Jim Crow. But you got to look at how bad the era of Jim Crow and segregation was. We wouldn't have fought to end it if it wasn't something that had more costs than benefits, because it did. It had more costs than benefits. So the benefits of integration outweighed the cost of integration, where vice versa with segregation, the cost outweighed the benefits. But yes, there was more. The dollar circulated more in the black community during segregation, and there was more black owned enterprises, and there were towns that were completely thriving during segregation, and they will often get destroyed, and then they will rebuild and then get destroyed again. But getting I don't want to get too far aside. The other thing I want to mention is that wasn't Malcolm X's philosophy. That was the Nation of Islam's philosophy under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And once Malcolm X left the Nation of Islam, he no longer it's he never he no longer preached black separatism. He believed then, and this is, you can check this for himself in his own words in the autobiography of Malcolm X. He believed then, once he is separated from Nation of Islam, that black people should work with others outside of the black community when it benefits us. And in that respects, he was willing to reach out to people that he formerly thought were not really helpful, like Martin Luther King and others. As far as the violent versus nonviolent approach, that's a separate discussion. I don't think he was. I think he was still. I think even to the end of his days, he believed in retaliating against people who would met violence on the black community. Even Martin Luther King, like, he had owned a gun at one point and decided not to use it, but even though teach he preached nonviolence, like, he was ready to clap that hammer at someone who came at his family, but he decided to be the better man and keep to his nonviolent approach. But then he was a gun owner. Martin Luther King was a like this is the nuance they don't teach you when you only get Black History for like 28 days in a year through Black History Month. But yeah, Martin Luther King was a gun owner, but he decided not to use it in retaliation against the threats he was getting against himself and his family. But had he maybe had armed guards with him might have gone better. So, I mean, he already got injured at one point through an attempted assassination. Then there was later on a successful assassination of him, as was Malcolm, unfortunately. Uh, but again, no, I don't think black separatism would be better because again, Malcolm X himself um, abandoned that view after he left the Nation of Islam. If that makes sense. Melissa says I love lucid dreams though. I don't know if I had lucid dreams. I mean, I've had dreams where I knew. Well, I guess they could have been considered lucid. Where I've had dreams where I knew I was sleeping, like I knew I was sort of in a dream. But those, but that usually happens when I've had nightmares, not regular dreams. Like usually in nightmares, I've forced myself out of those dreams by realizing I was dreaming. So, but I don't know if that was lucid dreaming or that was just like a defense mechanism while I sleep to get myself out of a uncomfortable nightmare. So, Jess says, yeah, well, I try to yell when I'm in a sleep paralysis state and nothing comes out. Yeah, because like I said, you can't move, so that refers to your vocal cords. Well, your vocal, well, they call them vocal folds now, but your vocal folds are muscular, skeletal muscle as well. So you can't move anything in a sleep paralysis. You can't yell out. You can't move your hand. You can't turn your head. I'm not even sure you can blink. But yeah, it is freaky because it lasts. But like I said, it literally lasts, but just a few seconds. But when you're in that state, it just seems so freaky. It seemed like it's a long time, but it's literally like just a few seconds that it lasts as your body readjusts to being conscious. But I admit it's weird. But like I said, I haven't had sleep paralysis in a long time. I usually wiggle my toes first. Oh, so you're like um what's the chick from Kill Bill guys? Ben what's her name? Benatrix Ben I can't remember but you were like the chick in Kill Bill. She was like, wiggle your toes. Wiggle your Matt James says forced to submit to Islam or off head for lack of submission. Anyone says Islamophobia to that can see my weapon raised. Um, I don't exactly get what you're saying, but maybe you can rework that. Agnes says just that feeling happened to me a few times in college. Yeah. When for instance REM sleep, just as really Agatha. Yeah, like I said, sleep paralysis is kind of common. I mean, not common like it happens frequently. I mean, common as in it happens to a lot of people. Because, like I said, it's a byproduct of you waking out of deep stage 3 sleep. Well, stage 3 sleep, which is deep sleep, and deep sleep in stage 3, your body is typically paralyzed. So when you're waking, so when you're waking suddenly out of stage 3 sleep, your body is still temporarily paralyzed. Whereas if you have a normal transition out of stage 3 sleep to to a lighter stage of sleep, and then you awaken, then you have you're able to have bodily movement. Agnes says, excuse me, Agnes says I was so scared I was yelling for my mom and the words were coming out of my mouth. Yeah. Like I said, guys, I know it seems freaky, but I just ride it out because I'm just like, like it used to freak me out too till I realized it was a normal occurrence. Besides, you can't really do anything anyway. But like I said, that's why back in I think in the Middle Ages, they used to have a belief that it was a succubus that was holding you down at night that prevented you from moving that caused sleep paralysis. Just as I'm glad I'm not the only one who goes through them. Yes, it's normal. Fahid says when you understand something like sleep paralysis, you become less scared of it. Just wanted to help, not brag about anything. Sorry if that's what you thought I was doing. It's not my intention. Oh no, no, no problem, bro. No, I thought you were trying to explain it to me, and I was like, no, I completely understand the experience. Just as, oh my god, yeah, this thing was tall and lanky and pale. Maybe that was LOL. No animals at my house. Kind of wish they would have been at that moment. Yeah, more than likely, like I said, Jess, is like when you're waking out of that deep stage of sleep, you're not actually, you're not rational at that time, right? So anything that happens in that, with within that experience is going to seem kind of otherworldly. Especially like I said, if you already have like sort of like supernatural beliefs, I don't, but for someone who already has like supernatural beliefs, it's going to become more um, that might be the go-to explanation in that sort of experience, right? Uh, Agnes says, "Jess, you are not the only one. Have my share of it too." PFC says, "Love the army shirt." Thank you, McDonald. So you are you current right now? Private first class McDonald. We gotta get you to E4 and E5 if depending on how long you're gonna be in there. But yeah, I remember actually my no, I was about to say my commander's coin on the wall is when I was PFC, but no, I was PV2. I was mad too because I'm not. We went over. We're in Germany, and I'm the lowest ranked person out of all of us. I'm like, how am I on the PV2? Everyone is PFC, E4, E5. Well, actually, no. E5 was the highest rank out of all of us. He was the actual NCO in charge while we were training in Germany because the rest of us were E3s and E4, and I was a damn lowly E2. But yeah. uh, Dion Pills is out of body experience. She said animals are prone to experience paranormal events as well as children. I can't, well, can't really say we don't know if animals are prone to paranormal experiences because we have no way to ask them. Children, yes, because children will often interpret things. Um, and, of course, children will interpret things in a way that they would probably think is something supernatural. But like I said, as far as animals, we have no way to confer with them whether whether they whether the things they experience can be considered paranormal, such as OBEs or out of body experiences. Like, could you imagine sitting there talking to the dog, like, um, so Chester, what happened? Really? So that's what you saw? And he wouldn't give you a Scooby snack? So I'm just joking. But Justice, I'm so glad to know that, honestly. She said the worst is sleeping on my back with the heaviness feeling on my back. The most recent one was the weird thing at the foot of my bed happened, I think, 5 months ago. Yeah, like I said, it can feel like something's weighing on your chest, or when you're in that um, paralyzed state. Jaden says I always do. Rose Garcia says P Diddy's father. Um, no. Uh, if you're making fun of me, first of all, Diddy is in his 50s, so he's older than me. And two, his father died because his father was a hustler who died, you know, slinging drugs, and was known to be a snitch. Which is probably what ended up why he ended up dying on the streets, because he allegedly was a snitch. But yeah, call me P Diddy's father. I don't think so, Rose. Jess is okay. Thank you, Jessica Contrarian. I appreciate it. Oh, you're welcome. Moonless as well. REM sleep and also micro sleeps are different, and a lot of men don't sleep well, but the vivid dreams are real. Oh, you are in Baltimore County. Okay, so again, we're in the same neck of the woods. We got to link up. I don't mean like, you know, but like I said on my Instagram or Facebook, definitely hit me up. Cheese Man says, "Yo, what are your top three cheeses?" I don't even like cheese. I hate cheese on food, except for pizza. So I guess mozzarella, but I don't even like mozzarella. I just like pizza. Like mozzarella on any other thing outside of pizza, I wouldn't eat. So, Moonlit says, "Don't drop addresses, y'all. Just contact through social media." Did someone drop a con? Oh, no, no, Moonlit. She was just telling me where she lived because we both live in Baltimore. But I don't. Um, I'm pretty sure Jess wouldn't put her address on here for everyone to see. Hopefully, it just says Monster, Swiss, and Pepper Jack rolling on the floor. Cheese Man, right? Moonlit says Cheese Man, Provolone, Veta, and Cheddar. Ozzy says, "Oh my God, it's Gus Fring." Now I wish I was Gus Fring. By the way, I've never watched that show except for like one episode, maybe two episodes. That's because someone had me watching it with them, but I've never had a interest in watching the show, honestly. Like because there's so much like stuff dealing with drugs and violence here in Baltimore. That's one thing I never liked watching on TV. So when I watch stuff, I try to get away from that sort of drama. Cheeseman says, "Nice choice, guys." Moonless says, "Damn, Pepper Jack is my ish too." Khalib says, "I'm a stay-at-home dad, but holding strong for my kids. They don't, for my kids, they get great grades and behave. I can't ask for much more, but I want to go fishing and get out the house. And at the end of the day, any advice?" Not really. You just gotta do time management. I don't know your schedule and what you do and your kids. Just make time. That's what the weekends are for, I guess. Like I really can't tell you how to manage your time other than gotta, anything you want to do, you'll find time to do it. Cheese Man says y'all got good taste. Moonlit says, "Yeah, Baltimore be saying hun." Yeah, that's such a it's definitely a Baltimore thing. Just as rolling on the floor, yeah, hun is a habit we are known for it. Silly Goober says, "Hey, do you know what a Therian is or what Therianthropy is?" No, I've never heard the term. Ruger Stick 3 says, "Appreciate you for service. Shalom." Thank you, Ruger. Moonlit says, "Silly, yes, we do, and calm down." What is it, Moonlit? I've never heard of that term. Um, Caleb says, "I asked for advice, but um, the super chat is at the bottom, my friend. The super chat button is at the bottom because I already just really dispensed something out. But guys, I'm going to be 5 minutes behind in the chat because I'm reading everyone's comments. So calm down. Like I have to get through the comments. Doesn't mean I'm ignoring you. It means I'm methodically going through the comments. One can tell that because you can see me addressing each comment as it chronologically as they appear. Um, Silly says, "Whoa, I was just gonna ask his opinion." Sheesh. Melissa says, "Okay, but he might think furry, not Therian." Um, Tubby Rainbow 111 says, "You think this is all just a scripted simulation we're in?" Uh, if it is, we have no reason to believe so. This gets back into the whole issue of is there an evil demon deceiving me, that goes back to the very beginning of modern philosophy as well as the later skeptical hypothesis that we're just a brain in a vat, which led to the whole idea in the matrix. um, and now it's also used in theoretical physics to talk about simulation theory and all this sort of stuff. all of this suffers from the same issue. Like, we have really no evidence to on which to claim these things, so there's no reason to believe them, even if they're true. Like, Rene Descartes founded modern philosophy on the thought that, what if there was an evil demon out there who's deceiving me on every single thought and belief that I have, everything that I thought that I knew, everything that I've believed, it's all false. It's all basically just a manifestation of a demon conjuring these thoughts and beliefs into my head, and they're, none of it's real. And if that being the case, then what justification do I have to say that I know anything whatsoever about the world? And he was like, well, the only thing I can say is that I know that that only thing I could say in that case about possibly there being a demon out there causing me these delusions or whatever is that I'm being deceived, right? He says, so I know that I'm, uh, you know, if I can be deceived, I can be. That means I'm thinking about things. I'm thinking about these things which aren't true, these deceits. Um, so I know there is a thinking thing out there, namely the thing which is suffering these deception, these deceptions, right? And I am that, and um, and therefore I am that very thinking thing. And upon that is where he rested his epistemology, or theory of knowledge and belief and rationality, on the thought that no matter if anything else is can be doubted, that at least he knows there is a doubting thing, and that doubting thing is he, and therefore he exists. That doesn't exactly work out, but you can see where he was going with that line of reasoning. And it was later philosophers that came upon like the brain in the vat hypothesis and stuff like that, based on Rene Descartes' earlier um, thoughts on that. But it didn't come until, like, contemporary philosophy that we realized that even though there's really no way to say that we're not being deceived, or that we're not just a brain in the vat, or that we're not all just some sort of simulation, that the problem is that even though we can't say that we're not taking part in these delusions of some sort, that there's no proof that these delusions are real either. Like, what is the evidence that we are in a simulation? What is the evidence that we're just a brain in a vat that are being deluded into thinking that we're these actual things walking about in real life having these experiences, or that we're not being deceived by some brilliant demon? Well, there's no reason to there's no genuine reasons to take that seriously, outside of it just being a mere epistemic possibility. So that's what I would say to the whole notion of whether we're just in a scripted simulation. The whole idea, for all we know, X means that it's a epistemic possibility, but an epistemic possibility should only be taken seriously so far as it can genuinely happen. And as far as we know, we don't have any evidence to say that it can. All right. So hope you got that, because my video just buffered. Catherine says hello there. I wish I could listen to this, but I'm working at the moment. No problem, Catherine. How you doing though? Moonlit says access to everything except the Vatican library though. Eh, yeah, I guess. I don't know. I didn't know the Vatican has its own separate library, but I'm pretty sure even that can be tapped if people really want. Um, and probably the only hindrance to that is that it's probably still written in Latin. because they still speak Latin in the Vatican. Justice Moon, are you from Maryland too? Moonlit says hi, Cat. Catherine says hello, lovely Moonlit. Moonlit says no, Jess. I was born in Boston, raised in Florida, but moved around a lot. I live in Asia now. I'm not even addressing what Ty said. That sounds very that sounds like a pause. That well no, that's definitely a pause right there. Jess says, oh wow, that's really cool, Moon. I love to go to Asia. My 16-year-old daughter says she would love to go to Japan. She should. All she has to do, Jess, is um actually she doesn't even need a degree, but the best thing she should do is get her degree, and then pretty much they ask any American to come over there, they can become English teachers. So any American can come over there and be an English teacher. That's usually that's usually the most common way that people come to live in Japan, as they go over as English teachers. Had I known that back then, I would have done it too. Moon says, "Stand by Me" and Goonies, Lost Boys. That's in my top five. I can go on and on. Right. KRSTNT says, "Morning Army PT." Yep. So you remember the old PT outfit here? This is the one from the 90s, early 2000s, before they switched over to the black PT uniform. Just as I would just love being somewhere with different culture. Yeah, to get out of Baltimore is it it's such a good thing to get out of Baltimore one time. Like I said, definitely if you're interested, you don't have to, but definitely hit me up off stream if you want. Like I said, you can hit me up on IG or Facebook. On the link will be in the description, but it's Amon, just a contrarian, just one word. Hit me up. Like I said, traveling is a lot easier than what you think it is. Just as I was going to say, Lost Boys. LOL. I rewatched that last month. I haven't rewatched it in a while. What I didn't know is that there were so many sequels to it. Like I remember there was a one sequel, but I didn't know there was a part three. I think there's even a part four. I'm not even sure, but there's like a part three. I was like, damn, they had a part three. I didn't even know that. I remember when the sequel came out and that was trash, but then I didn't know they made a part three as well. Like that's a stand. That's more or less a standalone film. They should have never made sequels to it. Um, Moonlit says, lived in Tokyo 3 months, too expensive, but live in Thailand now. Best move I ever made in life. Yeah, but Tokyo's just way better. It's just way better. Even though it is more expensive, one thing I will say is that get eating in Tokyo is not expensive. I know Thailand is cheap too, because I think tell me if I'm wrong here, Moonlit, but I've heard that it's actually cheaper to eat out in Thailand than it is to like go to to actually like go grocery shopping. Like you can just eat out cheaper, more cheaply than buying food at the grocery store. But yeah, Tokyo is expensive, but it's surprisingly affordable when it comes to food, because you have so many different levels of for acquiring food. Like you have like the convenience stores, which serve a lot of like 7-Eleven in Japan is a whole different thing than here in America. Like they're actually been thinking of bringing over some of the stuff from Japan 7-Eleven to the American ones, but it's a whole different experience. Then you have like the vending machine food everywhere, um, and you have like the little cheap bars that you can go to get food, like the ramen, you know, like ramen and sushi bars, stuff like that. Then you have like the mid-scale restaurants, and then finally you have the different upscale restaurants, stuff like that. But you don't even have to you don't even have to deal with the upscale or even the mid-scale restaurants. You can deal with like the the little mom and pop bars, or the the convenience store food, or even the vending machine food. So it's like I said, it's surprisingly affordable to eat in Tokyo. Everything else is what costs you, like the cost of living, um, the cost of apartments and stuff, and they make it hard for foreigners to get apartments sometimes. So Jess says, I've been in Maryland all my life. We got to get you out of Maryland, Jess. All right. This guy can go because he's kind of weird. The guy, Joe Mama, just said, yeah, I heard Thailand is so much cheaper on a lot of things. It is. And Philippines, where I sometimes stay, is even cheaper than Thailand. Slightly. Not a lot, but it's slightly cheaper than Thailand. Moonless is KRS TNT. A salute. Um, Noob Gamer says, what is your religion? None. And Moonless says, he's agnostic. Moonless says, yeah, Jess, I own a home now because of Thailand and the price of living, but the dream is to live in Bhutan. Whoa, I didn't know that. Did you want to live in Bhutan? Jess says, wow, that's great, Moon. Edgar still you still here, Edgar? You're not finished sucking dick yet? You still trying to make jokes? Don't you know you gotta you gotta swallow the dude first before you make comments here on this channel? Anyway, Justice, if you don't mind me asking Moon, but why Bhutan? I'm just curious. Moon says, yeah, you described it perfectly, lucid dreaming. Dang, I'm way behind because she's like, yeah, hi, yes, Kill Bill chick. I think her name was Beatrix or something like that in Kill Bill. Moon said, yeah, bucket list destination. You can definitely go to Bhutan unless they're. Wait, are they in some sort of mid of civil strife right now? I can't remember. I can't recall. Just as nice. Ugh, I wish I could afford to move somewhere far. Even if you can't afford to move somewhere, just you can still you can probably still travel. I'll give you some of my, like I said, hit me up off live. I'm gonna give you some of my travel tips that I've utilized. I've mentioned them here on my channel before, but I can go into that in detail. Melissa's honest question: do you feel like we evolved to sleep very still because big cat predators and others? Um, I don't know because, like I said, our primate ancestors slept in trees for safety. Um, and I'm not talking about monkeys, by the way, because everyone always says, "Well, you always believe you evolved from monkeys." No, we didn't. Monkeys and humans had a common ancestor, and they were not our, but they weren't our ancestors. We just share a common ancestor. But no, ancient humans, or I should say, the 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 human-like apes, who are our ancestors, the humanins. Many of them did sleep in trees for safety. As far as ancient humans or modern humans, I don't know that the evolution of sleep that well. As far as why we sleep still, I'm guessing generally it's safer to not be moving about when you're sleeping, as you could hurt yourself or others. That's I'm pretty much guessing why. Plus, you just have involuntary muscle control when you're deep stages of sleep, just like when you are suffering other sorts of altered states of consciousness when you're not. I mean, just like you in other when you're unconscious, whether it's through sleep or whatever, generally you are in a paralyzed state because you don't have voluntary muscle control. So yeah, I mean, and no one's sending you $20. Go eBay somewhere else, bitch. Take your little OnlyFans wannabe bitch ass begging somewhere else. You're not gonna do it over here. No one's gonna give you $20. No one's gonna go donate to your Cash App. No one cares about your pussy that's been used and you probably got more bodies on you than Delta Force. Like, no one wants your little used twat over here, and no one's simping for you over here on this channel. Amina Blue. Robert says, I see your army. May I ask what your MOS was? 31 Lima. Jess says, no, definitely no full address here. I wouldn't think you would do that. I'm pretty sure you I'm pretty sure you're a reasonable person. You can give it to me though. So I'm playing. I'm playing. I'm playing. Mula says I'm loving the series from so highly recommended. I haven't heard of that. He said no, no. Therian is a deep rabbit hole. Literally. Pause. It's like yeah, I've never. Is that the same thing as the lizard people sort of thing? Is that what you're referring to? The same thing the other guy was talking to when he was talking about lizard people? Just as you watch from Two Moon. I'm so addicted to that show. I've never even heard of that show, guys. Just as I was watching Teacup, it was okay. Felt like a knockoff from Under the Dome show, I guess. I've not heard of any of these shows. From Teacup, Under the Dome. Are these shows on regular TV, or are these just or these web series? Because I haven't heard of any of these. Um, and Matt, you need to stop simping talking about any ladies want to visit Pound Town, dude. Why don't you sack up, do some push-ups, and you'll attract a woman. You don't need to be begging for pussy online. And that sounds pathetic. What girl? What girl? You'd be like, oh yeah, I'll do that. No one's gonna oblige you. Like you're an incel. Mullen says I think Contrarian does too. If y'all like Lost or Game of Thrones, From is amazing. I've never watched Lost, but Game of Thrones is my stuff right there because I read the books as well. The all the Song of Ice and Fire books. Just definitely Marco de Salud said that's a poor epistemic basis. If you're referring to what I was talking about earlier, again, I didn't say that was good. What I was saying is that is the start of modern philosophy. I didn't say it was good. If if I wanted to go into more detail, I would have said it had been fraught from the beginning with a lot of problems, which is why a lot of people look down upon Cartesian Cartesian philosophy because a lot of people think Cartesian philosophy wasn't very good. But the case of the matter is, I mean, the fact of the matter is, through Descartes and others of his time, was the establishment of modern philosophy as we come to know it back in the 1500s and 16, the 1500s, 1600s, right around which coalesces with the age of enlight with the European Enlightenment and Age of Reason. Um, and modern science through Galileo Galilei. Uh, but again, no one claimed that Descartes was right or that his version of foundationalism was good. I never claimed that. What I was You clearly missed the point, Marco, because you're trying too hard to be smart. I was answering another comment that someone made when they were asking, do I think we're in a scripted simulation? And I was saying that sort of that line of thinking has stemmed all the way since Descartes. And if I really wanted to be pedantic, I could say there's even remnants of it in Plato, but I didn't want to go that far back. But in any case, as far as like I said, the whole idea of we're not real, that we're actually just um, involved in some sort of idealism or subjectivism is a old philosophical idea and it doesn't have very good footing. And I was mentioning the whole reason of that stems back to Descartes, where he showed why we really have there's reasons to doubt that that we're just merely aspects of some grand delusion. But I never said his version of foundationalism was a good philosophy, because it's not. But you're trying too hard to be intellectual. Just as I got to get to bed, everyone have a good night and stay safe. Good night, Jess. Like I said, hit me up if you can. Add Amon, Just A Contrarian, or at Facebook, Amon, Just A Contrarian, and we can talk a little bit. Especially, like I said, if you are genuinely interested in travel, I can tell you some of my tricks that I was able to ball on a budget. uh, Moonlit says Marco highly disagree, but explain. He said Mark. He says Descartes' cogito argument assumes the predicate. Again, guys, Marco is trying too hard to be intellectual. I'm not going to sit here and go into philosophical jargon in a chat room where people aren't versed in philosophy. You're trying too hard. You really are. It's all about being clear and concise. You sitting there trying to use philosophical jargon when most of the chat room people here don't know that philosophical jargon isn't going to get you here. It's not going to impress anyone if they don't know what you're talking about, bro. Chill out. Like, I get what you're saying. And again, that has nothing to do with the original comment that I was addressing. So you don't even know what the fuck you're talking about, because that was an hour ago, the comment that I addressed. Only don't spare him more. He's a pseudo intellectual. He's trying. Anytime someone has to come here and try to use a lot of jargon amongst a bunch of people who don't know what he's talking about, they're trying too hard. If you can't explain it in a way that a kid can get it, then what are you doing? Because in philosophy, we pride ourselves in being clear, concise, and cogent, which means you got to know your audience. If your audience isn't versed in philosophy, why are you going to use terms they wouldn't understand? And Marco, it's not a tautology. Again, you're using words and you don't even know what you're talking about. That's not what a tautology is. A tautology has two meanings, and I'm going to tell you straight away that one of those meanings is incorrect. How people most often people say tautology to mean something that's an empty truth, but that's not really what a tautology is. A tautology is a logical truth that can be shown on a truth table. That is what a tautology is. I'll repeat that. A tautology is a logical truth which can be shown on a truth table. That's what a tautology is. It's not what you're calling a tautology or an empty truth is not that. That's just non sequitur reasoning. It doesn't follow from the conversation that we're having, and it doesn't follow from what we're talking about when I was mentioning Descartes' um, thought hypothesis about the evil demon. That is merely a Gedanken experiment, a thought experiment. It's not a tautology. You're trying to use words to sound impressive to a bunch of people who don't know any better, but I'm going to call you out on your bullshit because you're being a pseudo intellectual and you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Anyway, Noah says I'm wearing the same shirt. LOL. He said it's got an A on the back of your T-shirt. LOL. Served in Army 2014 and 2018. Wait, they were still wearing these in 2014 and 2018? I thought they had already started wearing the black ones with the yellow. But yeah, it has the I can't show it here, but yeah, it has the uh the big A on the back. Pause. But yeah. He said I got the short sleeve one. I got the short sleeve one too. It's in my drawer. And Marco, the subject assumes the predicate is not what a tautology. That's not what a tautology means. That's not what a tautology means. Moon, please don't. Um, he he's a fucking moron. Like he doesn't know what he's talking about. That's not even what a tautology mean. A tautology either means an empty truth or it means a logical truth that can be shown on a truth table. That's not what tautology means. subject assumes the predicate. You don't, moron. Anyway, um, Noah has got to love the winter PTs, right? Marco says the Vatican does have a library and it's controlled access. Okay, so it wouldn't matter anyway. It's written in Latin. Most of that information will be written in Latin, unless you're going to use a unless you're going to use Google Translate to or one of the other translation apps like Bing or something to translate an entire text of a text of literary work from high from from high Latin to modern English, then it doesn't even matter. And there's no cryptic information in the Vatican. Like the stuff that would be there would be of a religious nature. That's it. Like there's there's no there's no secret to perpetual motions hidden in the Vatican or something like that. Agla says, "Why do people have dream catchers like the one I have right here?" Uh, she said, "I remember when I was younger and had scary dreams. My mom put this hanging thing with feathers at the door." Well, a dream catcher comes from is from Native American symbology. I don't actually know which tribe does because it seems like every tribe tries to claim the dream catcher. I've heard the Lakota claim the dream catcher, Cherokee claim the dream catcher, Navajo claim the dream catcher. So I actually don't know in which tribal nation it originally originates, but supposedly um, it was supposed to catch the bad dreams. And there's like a little well, I don't want to go into that because it depends on the tribe and their religious beliefs, but that's the origins of the dream catcher. But I don't know the origins of which tribal nation originated it. This one I think is a Navajo one, but like I said, they all claim the same thing. Um, it's just supposed to be like a good luck thing to have good dreams. Like I have over here, I have like some Asian stuff for good luck. um, and right here as well, I have more stuff. So, um, yeah, I have all sorts of like good luck things. But that's basically it. It's just basically to stems from a belief in having good dreams. The dream catcher is supposed to catch the bad dreams. One says Agatha is our Native American Indian culture, and it's more protection, not so much from dreams. That's the English version. Good call on that, Moonlit. Rose says, Michael, don't get the joke. Henri says, I'm craving brownies. He said, what is some advice you would give to younger people? You gotta when guys, when you ask me a question, you gotta kind of constrain it. Like you can't just ask me such a broad question. Is there something particular you would like advice on? Like you can't just say what's advice I would give to younger people. Like there could be like literally thousands of things I could. I mean, I would say some. I mean, if you want the most general advice, I would say exercise. That's what I would say, exercise. But if you want more specific advice, you got to ask me a more specific question. Um, Moon says, Agatha, take the realms on mod. I'm kind of busy, but I'm listening. I think she can help out Moonlit. Nikolai says, what's behind you? It's spooky. A curtain. um, I don't know what No Brains is referring to. Moonlit says Therians are cool as F. Just understand they're not fairies, but very similar. I still don't know what they are. It's like I said, it sounds like the lizard people thing, but I literally never heard of Therians, unless that's the thing that uh, comes out of Dianetics. Like, but I'm joking. But Royal wishes says, "Damn, I just stepped in." Rose says, "Sorry, a stag autocorrect." I still don't get it. Um, Sean says, "When were you in?" From 98 to 2004. Rose says, "Game of Bones." I'm lost, bro. Mullen says, "Game of Thrones is amazing, but I suggest reading the books and skip the Bran parts." Bran wasn't a big part of the books like he was in the TV show, though. In the Song of Ice and Fire, well, and then the way the TV show ended, I'm not sure if the books are going to end that way. Although personally, I don't think G.R.R. Martin is ever going to finish the last two books. He's been stuck saying he's going to write The Winds of Winter since 2011. That's been that's 13 years ago now. Like the last book he wrote was in 2011. That's when the TV show started, and he's written like 10 other books since then, and none of them have been the last two books, The Winds of Winter and the Hints of Spring, or whatever the last one is called. He's been working on it, and he kept updating his blog up until people kept questioning when it's going to come out. Then he stopped updating his blog about when the book was going to come out. But I remember him saying like 6 years ago that he was working on having it out by like 2019 or 2020. That came and passed, and so I don't believe he's ever going to finish the last two books because I think there's too much expectation on those last two books, especially with the way the show ended so poorly. I don't think he's ever going to finish them. But luckily, Bran wasn't a huge. I mean, Bran was featured in it like when they went beyond the wall and stuff like that, and they were talking about it. But you know, he wasn't as annoying in the books as he was in the show. I'll say that. uh, what? Oh, Sean probably already heard me answer him already. I'm not shouting out anyone unless you give me a super chat. Don't do it. Nope. I don't know. I'm not giving you shit for free, bro, guys. He said it's unfortunate. Marco, please don't try to gaslight him, bro. You're not that bright. You're really not. You think that you are, but you're not. So don't try to gaslight him. Here's what Marco de Salud says, guys. Again, he's gaslighting. He says, "It's unfortunate that you have gone on the defensive when I was simply agreeing with you, period. I am not trying to be intellectual. We can certainly have a debate on any philosophical subject of choice." Dude, no, you weren't. Stop. Stop pretending you weren't sitting there trying to tell me that I was wrong of my interpretation of Descartes when you, one, didn't even know the original comment to which I was addressing when I mentioned Descartes, and two, you completely got it wrong. The whole cogito argument that you call it. And three, you don't even know what a tautology is. You're using a word and you literally don't know what it means. Don't call me defensive because you don't know, because I called you out on the bullshit that you were saying. You thought that you could talk using philosophical jargon, being that other people didn't know what it is, and it would sound impressive to them. But that is the key markings of a pseudo intellectual. If you wanted people to be impressed by what you said, you will put it in the simplest terms so they can understand it. This is what we do in philosophy. It's called being clear, concise, and cogent. These are the hallmarks of analytic philosophy. But I'm not going to talk jargon amongst a crowd of people who don't understand what I'm talking about. I'll do that when I'm in that in a academic circle, when I'm around a bunch of other people who also use the same sort of jargon. It's just like You know, if a physicist talks to a bunch of kids, he's not going to be giving a bunch of complicated math to a bunch of kids that wouldn't grasp what he's talking about. You know your audience. And again, you only did it because you didn't really know what you were talking about. So it just sounded impressive to someone who wouldn't know any better. But I called you out on it because I do know better. Unless it's go to super chat, absolutely. Cogi- um, Marco says cogito ergo sum is a tautology. It's a circular argument, not exactly controversial. Cogito ergo sum, one, is not a tautology, and cogito ergo sum is not an argument. That is a pithy quote to what he said. That's not literally what he said. What he said is actually comes out of is written originally in some sort of Renaissance era French, and he doesn't say it. He doesn't say, I think, therefore I am. That's just a pithy quote. Again, if you were in my live stream yesterday, I've also mentioned this, that it is an annoying habit that people will take very complex arguments that philosophers have given and boil them down to little pithy quotes that can be put on t-shirts when it's not really what they said, but it's simplified that less informed people in philosophy can get it. He didn't literally say, "Oh, cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am." What he said is, and and I'm paraphrasing here because one, I don't speak that type of French, and two, I don't remember the exact quote in the book, but I have First Meditations on Philosophy here in my book on my bookshelf, which is where he's voiced it in his book First Meditations on Philosophy. I mean, sorry, Meditations on First Philosophy. Anyway, paraphrasing what he said, he was like, as I, look about me and realize that, everything that, I think all these things that I'm experiencing as I look about myself could be wrong, that I could be in error, that I could be being deceived by some brilliant spirit or of some sort. He said, I come to to recognize that out of all these things, even if I'm wrong about everything else, and I can doubt everything that I'm experiencing, that at least I know that I'm doubting these things, which means there is a doubting thing, and therefore that very doubting thing, I must be that doubting thing. And from there, I can say that at least therefore there is something I know that does exist, which is myself, which is that doubting thing. That's what he actually said, and I'm paraphrasing it. He didn't just say, I think, therefore I am, or how you summed it, Kurgo or ergo sum. It was not a tautology. The argument was flawed only for the fact that he could only he could only infer that there is a doubting thing, but it was a jump. But he had to make a sort of logical jump to say that he is therefore that thinking thing. He wasn't licensed to infer that from what from his line of reasoning. He can only infer that there is a thinking thing, but he wasn't in a position to say he is that very thinking thing. But it's not a tautology because that's not how tautologies work. A tautology is an empty truth. A truth is not an argument. A truth is a claim. So it's not a tautology. Tautologies are not arguments. Tautologies are truths. A tautology either refers loosely to an empty truth, but in actual philosophy and mathematics, a tautology means a logical truth which can be demonstrated on a truth table. That is what a tautology means. You don't know what you're talking about. You're just trying to use big words to sound impressive, and you're wrong. Just admit that you are wrong and move on. Let's get to the next topic. Uh, Moonless says, Marco, I think you misconstrued your words. He did quite a bit. Marco says, ironic you deployed epistemology and epistemic long before I engaged the discussion. Your defensiveness doesn't help here. Dude, the difference is I explained to people what I meant when I said epistemology. When I said epistemology, I also told the chat room when I said epistemology, it means the theory of knowledge, belief, and rationality. So I can explain my words. You can't because you don't know the words that you're using, or else you would have known that the words you were using, tautology, doesn't even follow from what we're talking about here. A tautology is a truth. It's not an argument. And to call his argument circular is not the same thing as calling it a tautology. A circular argument is called begging the question, and in Latin it's called a petitio principii, not a tautology. A tautology is a truth, which can be demonstrated on a truth table. And loosely is also when you're talking about an empty truth. Neither of those apply to here. I'm not being defensive. You're trying to gaslight to cover up for the fact that you don't know what you're talking about, and you're being called out on it. He said, Marco says, well, you can certainly define English words anyway in which you like, but that's certainly the conventional use of the English language. No. Now you're trying to employ relativism because you can't make your argument. You're using fallacies, and you're lucky that I'm not pedantic enough to call out every single fallacy that you're using. The younger me would have, but I don't have that sort of time here. I'm not going to call out every logical fallacy that you're making. But yes, we define English words in philosophy. We define words in philosophy, period, because in philosophy, we care about the careful use of language. Many of the problems in philosophy turn out to be pseudo problems deriving from language that is unclear through ambiguities and vagueness. But you would know that if you had actual training in philosophy and you weren't just someone who took a philosophy 101 class and tried to sound impressive. And Melissa says, Marco, take a breath and rethink the words, kiddo. Ada says, God bless you, man. Thank you, Ada. That's the name of my great grandmother. C2XU says, old school PT top. Nice, thank you. I'm gonna start wearing some more of my old stuff too, man. Moonlit says, I think you misunderstood, but he's talking to Marco. He said misunderstood what he was criticizing Descartes' argument, and I was agreeing by pointing out the nature of reason as poor. He Moonlit, he doesn't know what he's talking about, dude. Trust me, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I actually, unlike him, I actually have the degrees on my wall to prove what I'm talking about. And some of my professors are some of the most well. Again, I'm not going to call out names here because that's petty, but some of my professors are world-renowned philosophers. C2X says, how can I get laid quick? Dude, what? Man, hit the gym. Bunch of women at the gym. I keep telling people the gym is the new nightclub. The gym is the new nightclub. No one hits nightclubs anymore except for women hoping to get simps to buy bottles for them while they sit there amongst their friends and no one dances. Now, the new nightclub is the gym. Go to the gym, you'll find women. Plain and simple. Anything quicker than that, you're going to have to try Tinder. And best of luck with that because the ratio isn't that good. It's mostly men on Tinder and all those other dating apps, Bumble and Hinge. Is like probably like 80 men to 20 women. I'll say no. But the odds aren't in your favor unless you're an exceptionally attractive person. Um, Otherwise, most guys don't get too much play on Tinder and those other things like they did when they those apps first originated. Um, 80% of the women want 20% of the men on those apps, which means if you don't fall within that 20%, I mean, so much so that people have have said that the bleak outlook of using dating apps caused the rise of the manosphere online. I don't know how much of an exaggeration that is, but there's really no shortcuts. You gotta improve, just improve your game, stay in shape, go to the gym. And Marco saying the problem here is that I'm 15 minutes behind. Again, I've explained that ad nauseum every single stream. If I'm commenting on everyone's comments, I'm going to be behind. And I already mentioned it in this stream that I'm several minutes behind because I'm addressing everyone's comments. The That's not the problem. The problem is that you are simply wrong in what you said. You just don't want to admit it. Jacksonville kid says should enlist in the Army or Marines. That's up to you, bro. Like, what do you seek to get out of the military? Bear in mind there are commonalities between the Army and Marines, but I would say the Marines are, and I'm saying as an Army guy, but I would say the Marines are slightly more, um, slightly more put together than the Army. However, it's a the Marines live a it's a tougher lifestyle than the Army. I'll say that as well. So whereas you're going to be more, you know, the few, the proud, the Marines, although that is a mark of distinction, it is a rough life. Whereas the Army, you can live a pretty, well, I won't say easygoing, but it, you can have a longer, sustainable military career in the Army probably than in the Marines. All things being equal, though, but all things aren't equal. But all things being equal, you could probably have a longer, sustainable career in the Army than the Marines because the Marines is a tougher path to tread, which is why they like saying the few, the proud, the Marines. It's up to you. Uh, and it should also probably be based on what sort of MOS you want to pursue, what sort of military occupational specialty you are interested in doing. Mullen says he did not criticize, but if you need advice or convo, you can add me on Snapchat through my channel or send Contrarian a super chat. C2XU says, what was your MOS? 31 Lima, which is cable installer and maintenance. Jack McKnight says, Martin also helped write the lore of Elden Ring. Hmm. One says, I think the next book is in 2025. Yeah, Jack. So like I said, he since 2011, he's written like at least 10 or a dozen books, but he never finished the Song of Ice and Fire series. Instead of finishing the series, he wrote like two prequel books, a bunch of novellas, and he did an anthology of Westeros, but he didn't finish the last two books. And that's like, why would you do prequel books and an anthology without finishing the first two books? Like, finish the actual series and then make your prequels and then make your anthology. Like, it seemed like he just was he. I I don't know his like motivations, but it just seemed like he doesn't really want to finish those books because if he wanted to, he had 13 years to do so. But he's also written books that have nothing to do with A Song of Ice and Fire. He's written some sci-fi books, and he's done some other stuff. So he's written about like 10 or 12 books since the last book, which I think was Dance of Dragons, Dance of the Dragons, which was the fifth book. Um, but I don't think it's coming out Moonlit. You said in February 2025. Like I said, he's literally been saying the Winds of Winter were going to come out back in 2019, and it never did. That was 6 years ago when he said the Winds of Winter were supposed to come out. Um, Shane says Shane Casimiro says, "What's your opinion on MDMA assisted therapy for treating PTSD?" Again, guys, I can't give therapeutic advice. I'm not going to give people false medical advice. That's I'm not a quack. I'm not going to tell someone. And on top of that, I'm not. Why would I tell someone to use an illegal controlled substance? Go seek a professional. I don't know what's so hard about that. I don't know why mentally disturbed people come online and ask for psychological advice instead of just seeking a professional. Either you're doing it because you want it for free, or you want it because you're scared to actually have someone call you out on your cognitive issues. Either way, I'm not going to recommend someone use a controlled substance to deal with PTSD. You need to see someone, if you or anyone else is in that position, you need to seek a professional. That's it. That and hit the gym. Like I said, most people who have mental health issues are physically unfit. When you're physically unfit, you're mentally unfit. Hit the gym and go seek a psychological professional. There's no shortcuts to that. Marcos, uh, I don't even want to. Moon says, Shane, I highly recommend microdose on mushrooms first. I wouldn't. Like I said, pe- be, because the reason I don't recommend psychedelics or any other sort of illicit drug is because they affect people differently. Everyone has an individual tolerance to different psychotropic medication, and when you self-medicate, you can't control for all those different variables that may happen, the side effects, or the over or possible toxicity to taking drugs without a clinician being able to work with you through that. Don't do that. If you have PTSD, go seek a professional. If they deem that you need to be on some sort of psychoactive medication, they will let you know and prescribe it to you in an amount where they can titrate the dosage to make sure that it doesn't adversely affect you. But don't just go and take something without knowing what you're doing. Don't do that. Seek a professional. Shane says I've dosed mushrooms anywhere from 25 to 7 grams. Again, if you really want help, you'll seek a professional. You'll stop looking for shortcuts by asking people in the social media space, asking content creators about abusing drugs. I'm not going to ever okay that. I'm not. I mean, other guy like maybe Moonlit might, but I don't advocate for people self medicating because you don't know. First of all, you need to know what your actual issues are. Then you need to know how to control for that. And again, even if something does work, it may not work for you. And even if it does work for you, you don't know how much or how little of it you should take. So it's not a good idea to self medicate. You need someone who is a professional to tell you if something is good for you, and if so, how much of it you should take. They can titrate the dosage for you for a given medication for a given malady, but don't self medicate. It's not a good idea. I mean, you might have fun tripping balls, but that's not gonna. But simply tripping balls is not gonna treat your PTSD. It's not. This is why a lot of people who have PTSD self medicate and they end up deleting themselves because now you're causing a comorbid problem. You already have the underlying psychological issues, and now you're doubling that with uh, abusing a controlled substance. That's not a good idea. Now, if the clinician says, hey man, you could do some, what do you call this, cybellin or whatever you call it, whatever you call it, the active substance in some of these psychedelic shrooms and stuff like that, then cool. But at least you know that you have an actual clinician saying that that will work for you and in what amount. But don't recreationally use something to treat a serious problem like you actually if you actually have it. We have a lot we lost a lot of service members that way. So Marco says pick a philosophical subject. I'm open to debate. You can quit Google tautology if you need some help. Dude, I don't need to Google tautology. The reason I don't have to Google is because I have a fucking degree. I don't need to Google something I already know. Especially when I have someone who's a fucking logician telling me who taught me what it is. Why would I need to Google something that I had a logician teach me? I don't need to Google shit. Googling stuff is for people who don't know shit. And obviously, you're not open to a debate because you're not on my level. You have to use big sounding words that you use incorrectly to try to sound impressive. That doesn't impress anyone other than people who are too stupid to know any better. But if you want to impress people, you will be able to talk to them on their level and explain to them something that they weren't previously aware of. That's impressive. That's the mark of an intellectual. Moonless says, Marco, please shows I'm being nice, but you saying wrong. He said you're saying wrong words incorrectly. um, Jack, nice says, I feel like Descartes is highly overrated. He contradicts his own line. I think therefore I am later on in the same book. Well, I have my issues with Descartes too, Jack. Like I said, um, I remember one of my professors not knowing I was a philosophy student because the class I was taking was a philosophy of biology class. So she thought I was probably just coming from a science background until she heard me like discussing something with some other students outside of class. And she was like, "Oh, I realize now you're you're also a philosophy student." I was like, "Yeah," because she heard me like criticizing Descartes, and I think when I was telling another student, thought I was saying that I thought he was a little bit disingenuous with his arguments on uh, there being three separate substances like the mind, body, and God, because I was saying that he probably didn't really believe the latter part of that, but had to say that because of the church's importance at the time. Looking at it now, I can't really say that he might genuinely have believed it, but he should have known better. Um, as far as his as far as his thoughts on uh, foundational epistemology, which again, for people who don't know, epistemology um, refers to the philosophical study of belief and knowledge, rationality, stuff like that. Foundationalism is a sort of theory in epistemology that means that there are like maybe um, some beliefs or axioms on which all other knowledge rests, and that was his sort of belief with with that he was at the very underpinnings he think it was God, which again I don't know if he genuinely believed that or not. But above that was like the thoughts that you can't doubt that you are yourself a thinking being or rational agent, like that you are a rational agent is sort of like beyond question, because if you can doubt that you're a rational like you're a thinking or rational being, then you are therefore a thinking rational being. So um as far as him later contradicting that, I'm not sure, because like I said, the rest of the book, Meditations on First Philosophy, goes on to talk about uh, a bunch of things, but I haven't read that book in like over a decade. But he, but to your I mean, but to your point, he hasn't been entirely consistent in his overall argument in that book. I don't know if he contradicted himself about that. I think therefore I am, but you're right that his overall argument has been inconsistent. That's true. Mike says ghosts are real. Well, if you can prove it, you will be a very famous and wealthy person. Moonlit says, "No, you saying words without knowing the meaning." All right, Marco. He really is Moonlit. Like I already called him out on the term he was using. Then he tried to say, "Oh, Google it," like as if you can Google any single thing in the world and find like backing for something, even if it's completely incorrect on Google. Google isn't. Google search is an algorithm. It's not something that's going to show you that you're right or wrong about something. That's what having background knowledge is for. Like I don't need to Google whether 2 plus 2 equals 4 is necessarily true. I know it is because I know because I understand arithmetic. I don't need to Google it. So he's just he's playing himself. Um, Jack says essentially, as long as I'm able to think, I can at least know that I exist. Well, like I said, the problem with that Jack was that he couldn't. The only thing he could infer from his argument is that there is a thinking thing, but to say that he was therefore that thinking thing was a logical jump that wasn't merited by the premises in the argument that he gave. Like you want it's like I think you it's like a lot of us we want to agree with him and say, yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's a thinking thing, and therefore I am that thinking thing. Like you want to go along with it because it makes sense. But the problem is, like I said, is a logical jump. Like you're not he he cannot infer that he is that actual thinking thing. He can only infer that there is a thinking thing. So that's the problem. And it does being that the very being that the very foundation of what he rests his knowledge on is problematic. It's going to make the rest of his foundational beliefs problematic as well, right? Monla says, I don't need Google, nor TikTok, nor Facebook, no Facebook, nor Instalame. Instalame. That's good. At least I live my life, live yours, and keep my name out your mouth, Marco, or Google me. I thought he was insulting me, though, Moonlit. Jack says he also changes his position near the end of the book, saying that the only thing he can truly know is that God exists. Right. And that's what I was talking about, Jack. Like when I was having this discussion a long time ago, my one of my professors heard me talking about it. She was like, "Oh, you're a philosophy student." I was like, "Yeah," because she's like, "I heard you saying something about um, Descartes being disingenuous," and I was like, "Yeah." I was like, I don't know if I explained it to her or not, but I was basically saying, yeah, he was basically too smart to really think that, unless again, either he was saying it because he wanted to impress the church. Because you got to remember, Descartes and Galileo were in the same time frame, so he wasn't friends of Galileo, but they knew of each other, and he knew what the church did to Galileo to shut him up, right? So he knew not to make that mistakes in his work. That he needed to make sure that he said no. Uh, the ultimate knowledge is through God, and we know that God exists. Like I said, I don't know if he was being disingenuous just to keep the church off his back, or whether he really believed that. Because like I said, if he did genuinely believe that, then he should have known better. Because he was too bright of a philosopher to think something that like that when you read the rest of his book. On the other hand, he may have just been bullshitting and put that in his book to keep the church off his back. Because, like I said, he was a contemporary of Galileo. Seeing what happened to Galileo, probably was like, yeah, I better make sure that I say that no, the church is where knowledge ultimately rests. And so I think it's an open question whether he genuinely believed that or not. But again, I find it dubious if he really believed that because he was too bright of a philosopher to make such a clear mistake. I, so I get where you're saying he contradicts himself, but that's again why I said long time ago when I was a philosophy student that he seemed pretty disingenuous to me. So I I think it's still an open. That's probably like an open question whether he genuinely believed that or not. Marco's still trying. He's trying so hard, guys. We deleted most of his comments already, but he said, I'm using the conventional use of the term tautology. If it helps, we can call it a quote unquote analytic proposition to use Kant's vocabulary. I swear, he's trying so hard. He sounds like a first year philosophy student trying to sound impressive. Like this, he sounds like a first like he sounds like he's some first year philosophy student sounding so hard to try to be impressive. Like it's sad, but that's what he sounds like. He sounds like some little first year philosophy student. Um, he said, "Good Lord, Google it or use a dictionary." Like again, he sounds like a first year philosophy student because he should know that dictionaries don't give you philosophical definitions. A philosophical definition is when you get the necessary and sufficient conditions for a term or concept. That's how you define a concept or term in philosophy is by its necessary and sufficient conditions. You don't get the definition of a philosophical term or concept through a dictionary. A dictionary just gives you a lexical meaning. A lexical meaning is just its conventional usage. And Google is even worse than that. Like Google, you can literally just find anything to back up anything that you think that you already believe. People are very good at finding using Google to basically support their pre-existing biases. That's not very critical thinking. um, Melissa says, "Oh, I'm out. I can't with them. I gotta eat. They ain't listening. Where's the other mods? He's projecting and gaslighting. He really is, bro. Go eat. I got this because I'm about to get off anyway because it's late and I didn't realize how late it was. So go ahead and do your thing. Get thug bizzle. Um, hopefully the homie won't be just eating shrooms. I want to do tripping bowls because, like I said, that can be. You take someone who's taking like hallucinatory drugs and they're suffering PTSD. That is a toxic mix right there. So that's why I was telling them don't do that. Seek a professional. Like don't do that. uh, Catherine G says, "Hello, lovely. Just got home from work. Will watch while I eat lunch." What's up, Catherine? Um, Catherine G says, "I'm not a mod moon. I can make you one, Catherine, if you want." Catherine says, "Miss Needle, come handle these nerds. I can't every comment." Wait, was Miss Needle in here, Moonlit? I didn't see her in here. Was she in here? I did not see Miss Needle in the comments. If she is, definitely give me a shout out, Miss Needle. Want to make sure you're alive and well. Ryu Anana says, "Are you Christian?" No, I'm not. Um, Silva says, I want to end myself today, but I told my two closest friends I love them like a brother and sister. I feel better now. Keep that offline. Like, keep that offline, dude. No one wants to hear your struggles online. Some of y'all, look, some of you gonna take this and think I'm being harsh, but I'm not here to be your friend. Well, some of you I am, but look, if you have psychiatric problems, stay your ass offline. Like, no one needs to hear you hear your why online about your problems. Go seek a professional. America is one of the best places to find professional psychological help easily. There are community health centers that you can get free psychological help. You can get it even online through betterhelp.com and stuff like that. No one look, no one cares. We all got problems. If you got so many fucking psychological problems, stay on. Don't get online. Stop being a retard. Like, go do some fucking push-ups and go seek a psychologist. Like, y'all motherfuckers are incels coming online, whine about your problems instead of being proactive about it and go seeking professional help. If your bitch ass was starving, you would have went somewhere to find somewhere to eat, wouldn't you? Don't come here talking about, oh, I'm so depressed, I'm gonna off myself. But then go seek professional help. You're not gonna get the pity party here. You're really not. And I know it's gonna sound harsh, but again, if you're probably not gonna hear this on other streams, so you're gonna hear it here. Go seek help. Stay offline. Stop being retarded and thinking someone's gonna feel pity for you because you feel bad for yourself. Don't care. I'm gonna skip some of these comments because they're basically just Silver and Pot talking about dirt bikes and dumb shit like that. Shane says, I was not asking about abusing drugs. What I should have asked is, do you think it's morally acceptable to partake in medical studies involving MDA for therapy? It's not a moral, well, it's not a moral choice. It's a, so I get it. So you're asking a completely different question. You're asking, is it morally acceptable? Whom is, well, when you think of morality, think of it in terms of here's a cheat code for morality, right? I'm giving you the cheat code. Think of it in terms of harm. Whom are you harming? And that can kind of clue you into whether something is moral or not, whether something is morally acceptable or not, more what we say morally permissible. Are you harming yourself or others by partaking in a scientific study? If not, it's probably morally permissible. Things aren't only moral and immoral, some things are just amoral, which means they have no moral status. Taking part in a study that can potentially benefit you is not really a moral decision. It's more of uh, a pragmatic decision on your own person, on your own health. It's not. It wouldn't be immoral at all. I mean, it's definitely morally permissible. The question is whether it would be something that's actually beneficial to you health wise. That's the question. But personally, I wouldn't be let myself be used as a guinea pig. So you can take that for what it is. But I wouldn't let myself be used for a guinea pig. We already have treatments for PTSD using MDMA as a potential therapy. Nah, I'll let them use that on the other dummies first. Once they work it out, then we can talk. That's Musanea says this guy got a degree. He said there's a power in the name of Jesus to break every chain. But then you say Jesus sabes. I don't know what that means, but whatever. All right, now you just spouting off a bunch of random stuff, Musinator. You sound schizo. Like, how did you go from Jesus to Jesus sabes to saying dinosaurs didn't exist to saying the world's 6,000 years old to saying you've been given a lie? Like, that's very schizo sort of talking. Again, some of you mental midgets need to stop going online and get some professional help. Really. And and in the time that you're seeking that professional help, go to the gym, do some push-ups, go for a jog, do something beneficial. Stop living your fucking life online all day long. Go do something to benefit yourself physically, because being physically fit makes you more mentally fit. I can't employ that enough. Some of you are wildly out of shape from, and I can tell just from the stuff that you guys are saying online. All this schizophrenic thinking, like Musinator or whatever his handle is. That's weird. Like, I thank goodness Agatha's still here. Thank you, Agatha. All right, I'm just gonna time you out, Musinator. We don't have time for your little your schizophrenic bullshit. Dude is weird. Horatio UK says my mother owns an old pub in rural England. Date back dates back to the 18th century. At least one or two spirits there that love to mess with us, turning on TVs and knocking over stuff. You got poltergeists to live in the pub. Who, you know, I know four guys in New York City. You should probably give a call. They can probably help. They could probably problem. um, God, some of these people are retarded. Pax says, what about the book called 48 Laws of Power? It's a book written by a guy who doesn't know very much about scientific psychology. He wrote some follow-ups to the book. He even wrote one with 50 Cent, which shows how little you should probably take that seriously. He called it the 50th power of law. So it was like a follow-up to the 48 powers of law that he wrote uh, along with 50 Cent. So definitely shouldn't be taken that seriously. And only one reading 50 the 48 powers of law and his other book, the I think it's called The Art of Seduction or whatever. Those are books that gangs are required to read in prison, which is why many prisons ban those books by Robert Greene, who's the author of 48 Laws of Power and the Art of Seduction or whatever it's called. They're like required reading by gangs. They're not very, and gangs aren't known for being very bright people, like the individuals in gangs. I'm surprised they can even read, but aside from that, no, I wouldn't take those books seriously. 48 Powers of Laws may be a good book as far as being contemporary literature. Like you might that might be a book you would read in a contemporary literature class, but as far as it being taken as like something serious, no, not really. Agatha, we're getting a lot of goofballs here, so I'm about to end this soon. Q Ball says, I'm sub brother, extremely intelligent. Thank you, Q Balls. He said, thank you for your service. Thank you as well for that. I appreciate it. Horatio says definitely don't mix any uh, psychedelics with any pre-existing mental health issues unless microdosing to treat depression, etc. Well, yeah, that's what my moderator was saying, Horatio. But I was saying I don't even think that's a good idea because if the guy literally if the guy death has been actually diagnosed with PTSD, he should leave that to his clinician to tell him what to do. He should not be trying to self-medicate, even if it's just a microdose on shrooms. I don't. Again, microdosing sounds safe, but the problem is like individually, people might have people experience medication differently because we all have different, you know, different different tolerances for different sorts of drugs and you know and other variables that we can't account for unless he's actually given a physical and done all these other sorts of things, psychological evaluation, maybe a neuropsychological evaluation as well. um, so I don't recommend people self-medicate even if it's to microdose because again, even something seemingly as safe as microdosing can adversely affect you if you already have other comorbid issues of which you're unaware. So I can't recommend it to someone. And plus I'm not a diagnostician, so I can't tell someone what their problems are and what and how they should treat it. It- that's way beyond my pay grade, right? So like I said, the only thing I'm in a position to say is, hey, go seek professional help and exercise. That's the only things that I'm. That's the only thing given uh, my own background. I'm licensed. Like I, I can I can confidently say is seek professional help and exercise. Um, Irene says, "Do you believe in God?" Never met him. Torsten says sometimes the help from is better than fake help from a stranger. True, but that depends on the friend. And I'm not a friend. I'm just a content creator online. So people shouldn't be asking content creators for things for medical or psychological advice. They should be seeking a professional. And seeking a professional's help is not fake help; it's legitimate help because these people are actually in a position to to actually treat whatever problems there may be. A friend, they can give you emotional support, but they definitely can't provide you the help that you may actually need if you have, serious medical or psychological issues. John says, "Where are you from, my brother?" I'm from Maryland. Q Ball says, "Amen." Agnes says, "Thank Q Balls for your sub." Yeah, thank you again for this for excuse me, tongue tied there for subscribing. We're gonna wrap this up shortly, Agatha. Um, John Johnson saying this effing old head talking nonsense like he has any wisdom or value. Then why are you on my stream? You chose to be here. No, like I don't go to your job kicking dicks out of your mouth, John Johnson. He said I should smack you around a little for this witchcraft you're spreading to these innocent people. Please do. Please come to. Please find you a plane ticket to come to Baltimore. I implore you to come to Baltimore and try it. I implore you, try it. Please try to smack up this army veteran who's been practicing combat sports since he was 7 years old. Please try it, and please make sure you can make it through Baltimore to to uh, to do so. Because I'm sure all you keyboard warriors have that ability, right? Please try it. Schmuck. No, we can't talk in private, Christian. I don't know who you are. That's gonna be a no go. Nate says the question is to be or not to be. That's not a question. That was just a quote from Horatio in a Shakespearean play. That wasn't an actual philosophical question. Good morning says hello. I mean, sorry, Otto says good morning, hello, greetings to you from Tashkent. He said, bro's old as a dinosaur here talking like he's a therapist. No, I'm not. John Johnson. Your name is John Johnson because you like Johnsons in your mouth, John. Um, First of all, I'm not as old as you think I am. If you're young, you need to get your little young retarded ass offline and go to fuck the bed so you can get fucked in the ass like you are scheduled to do in the morning as usual. Then you need to also realize I'm not talking like I'm a therapist. I'm telling people they need to seek professional help. Stop coming online and using content creators as de facto therapists because they are not qualified to do so, as am I'm not licensed to do so as well. I'm telling people don't seek content creators as uh, for psychological advice. I'm saying actually seek professional help. You would know that if you wasn't so retarded and you weren't swirling so many dicks in your mouth that you can't think. I don't care what your story is, Christian Ivik. I don't care. If you want to tell a story, drop a super chat. The moment you drop a super chat, then we can talk. But it will be on here, not privately. I'm not privately talking to you to some weirdo. I couldn't care fucking less about your story. Drop a super chat, or we have nothing to talk about. Agatha says you're welcome. Thanks, sweetie. Um, Brad says hello. It's my brother Dylan Doe's birthday. I don't care, Brad. And nice try. Again, get your little retarded dumbass off my stream thinking I'm gonna fall for these tricks that we're talk that look, you're not gonna fool anyone in Gen X. I want you guys to realize this. All you little fucking retards who are like 20 years old and younger, you're not gonna fool anyone who's Generation X. We did this longer than you and better than you. We literally have a whole show called The Simpsons where Bart Simpson will call into Moe's Tavern and try to trick him into saying something. That's not going to work. Designer says, dang, oh, he got that Cosby type vibe. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know if you mean the Cosby from the Huxtable, like the Cosby Show, or the Cosby like the the bad way. But reverse says, what you think about the new generation? I'm kind of telling folks how I think about them. I don't honestly, I don't think too many people in Generation Z are very bright. And of course, that's not everyone because some of them are very bright, very good folks. But here's the thing um, we have seen a reverse of uh, IQ scores in the past 30 years. Um, it used to be the fact that every generation they had to renormalize IQ tests because each newer generation will outperform the previous generation on IQ tests. But starting around the 2000s, that plateaued, like it hit an asymptote, right? And now it's the reverse where we're seeing newer generations actually perform more poorly on these IQ tests than the previous generations, where it used to be the opposite. And I'm thinking it's because people are not because they're necessarily dumber, but they are less better at doing abstract reasoning than previous generations, which is bad. And we're seeing it in a lot of effects in society. And this is why I don't like Gen Z too much. I think they put feelings above reason, and it shows in and how they act and how they talk. So that's what I think about the new generation. Christian Isaac says, "Okay, peace." Yep. Like I said, if you really wanted to tell me something, you would have dropped a super chat. I purposely tell people to drop me a super chat because that shows how genuine they are with their concerns. If someone really wants something to be known, or they really want to ask a hard hitting question, they would drop a super chat. If they're not willing to hit that super chat button with a super sticker or drop me a cash app, then they're not serious. They just want to, you know, waste time. And we get a lot of trolls at this time of day and a lot of people who have underlying mental health issues, which is why they're probably up late at night anyway, because most mentally healthy people probably will go to bed at a decent time so they can be at work or at school. Sean says, I'm going to be a senior next year. After that, I want to go into the military. Should I go into the Navy and Marines? Like I told, there was someone who asked a similar question, Sean. Like someone was asking, should they do Army or Marines? It's an individual choice. It depends what you want to get out of it, what sort of MOS you want to pursue. The Marines is under the Department of Navy, so either way, you're still in the Navy. But the Marines is a whole different. Like if you are someone who wants to be physically fit, you want to be challenged, then the Marines is for you. If however you care more about traveling and having a more easygoing military career than the Navy. But other than that, I really can't tell you which branch to join. That's going to be an individual choice for you. Um, Ray G says only 23% of military age Americans can qualify for the military physically and mentally. That's horrible numbers. Yeah, and then on top of that, the ones who do qualify don't even want to join. So that's another problem. I don't know if it's 23%. That may be an over exaggeration. What I will say is the people who are of military age and do qualify, whatever percentage that is, many of them don't even want to go in. So they're definitely having problems with recruitment. I personally would still go back in. Like I've actually thought about joining the DC National Guard because the DC National Guard is willing to take all prior service members under the age of 60 who are still physically fit. If you're under the age of 60, still physically fit, DC National Guard would take prior service members. And if you're Army and Marines, you don't have to go through retraining. But if you're not Army and Marines, even though you're prior service, you're going to have to go through retraining to join the DC National Guard. So I have considered that. But it, looking, being that our current president is putting us minutes away from World War III, and we already have low recruitment numbers, is I don't know, bro. I, I don't know. Reverses damn Ray G. Why is that? Georgia Macera Tani says Ciao Dalatalia. What's up, Georgia? From Italy. 50 Design says what's wrong with 50 Cent? He's a businessman. No, I'm not saying anything was wrong with 50 Cent. I was saying that was brilliant that he had a book credited to him. Um, but I was saying that the author Robert S. Greene, someone was asking me about the 48 Powers of Law, and I was saying that the book is probably like considered a contemporary work, a good contemporary work of literature that you might read in a contemporary literature English course. But as far as someone thinking it was like something that might give them like actual like solid uh advice, is not. It's not well researched. It just gives a bunch of like aphorisms and witty things to say from people from the past. But a bunch of aphoristic writing and witticisms from powerful men of the past is not necessarily useful information. And as far as the book, the sequel to his book, The 50th Law of Power, I was just saying it was just a useless book, other than you just want to read it for the sake of the interest in the book. But it's pretty much a useless book. It's not good it's not a good psychological it's not a good psychology text. Um, it's not a scientific text, and it's coming from two people who don't have any background in social behavioral sciences to dole out information that they think could actually help people. That's what I was saying. But I have nothing wrong with 50 Cent um, at all. He is a smart businessman, absolutely. Ray G says too fat and not mentally stable. Leftist values. Well, it depends. Like I said, Ray G, when I went in, I think they need to take. Here's another thing. I think the army and some of these other military branches need to bring down their standards a bit, because we were in peacetime. They raised. See, what happens is normally during peacetime standards go up, but during wartime standards go down. And the fact is, you had low recruitment numbers with high standards, plus the fact that a lot of young people have other options than to join the military nowadays. Back in the day, like when you came from a place where there wasn't too many um, opportunities unless you went to college, the only other thing was either trade school or the military. And usually trade school is just as costly as college, so usually you just went on to the military. Um, but now there's options, especially because we live in the online. Sorry, the thing was just buffering, so hopefully everyone's still here. But yeah, the problem is now people have many other options, Reggie, that they don't have to join the military. As far as it being too fat, like I said, they need to just lower their standards, because when I came in, it was wartime, and they still let people who are morbidly obese. Like I've seen, like there was people in basic training with me who were obese, right? And I even made fun of them, and the drill sergeant, you know, chided me for that. He was like, "Don't make fun of these people." He said it's not their fault that they're out of shape, but they want to pursue, being in the army, and so I shut up. But yeah, like there were people who were obese when I was in the army. Nowadays, I don't think they will let people in who are obese, because the standards have changed. But back then, there were people coming in who were obese. There were people who were coming in who were gang members. And I'm not even joking. Um, uh, as far as being leftist, I was a leftist myself when I came into the military. Like I was I won't say far left, but being, at the time when I was in college, I was pretty I was like a progressive sort of person. Like I was briefly a member of the Green Party. I was vegan. I was tripping. But uh, it's a lot of it's a lot of variables for why people aren't coming in. Some, like you said, aren't physically don't physically qualify. Some mentally don't qualify, and then some do qualify, but they have better options to not go into the military. And others may not have better options, but they just hate the military because, again, of their political values, as you mentioned. So a lot is going to change if shit hits the ground. Like Biden wants to give Ukraine a bunch of long range ballistic missiles that can piss off Putin. And hey, I don't know, man. Torsten says BS just because they're gang don't mean they're stupid. Doesn't mean they're smart either, does it? I'm sorry. Yes, it does mean many of them stupid. Most of those guys who are in gangs in prison are high school dropouts. Like one of the things they make them do in prison is to receive their GEDs, and they get paid per week to be in these GED classes. Like an overwhelming amount of the men who are locked up are high school dropouts who join these gangs. You show me someone once you tell me about a Nobel laureate gang member, and don't try to use that guy who, well, that one guy from LA who was one of the founders of the Crips or Bloods, whatever he was, can't remember. But yeah, most of them are stupid. I'm not going to, Torsten, I'm never going to sugarcoat things on my channel. I'm going to call things as they are. Most of those gang members are stupid. Yes, individually there might be some who aren't, but I'm speaking generally. I can't speak of each and every individual, but I can speak generally. Generally, most gang members are stupid, and if and that should be patently obvious, because otherwise, why would you pursue something that would lead you to your own demise? Casey Wenstensko says, "What the f are we talking about? Big name terminology guy. Keep up with the chat, brother. Scroll up if you're confused." Agatha says, "Yes, that's true." Only Don says, "What's up, Gus? Not your Gus. Try again." Dude, there's no teddy bear in this room, Torsten. You're the loser on my live stream at 1 o'clock in the morning. Eat a dick. Sean Payton says hi. What he might have been talking about as a stuffed animal. He might have saw my Snoopy or Pikachu, but there's no teddy bears. There will be a Gizmo once I get one, but no teddy bears. Stuffed Gizmo from the one I had in the 80s. Casey says, diagnostician, yes. A medical professional is a diagnostician, which means they can diagnose illnesses. Duh. That's kind of like self evident from the word. When you say someone who's a clinician, that means someone who can work as a clinical professional, whether psychologically or medically. A diagnostician is the same thing, someone who can diagnose disorders, whether mentally or physically. What I was saying is, I'm not in that position. That's above my pay grade to sit here and converse with people on this live stream about their mental health or medical issues. They need to seek a professional because I'm not able to diagnose it, ergo diagnostician, and I'm not a clinician. I chose not to pursue that career path because I wasn't interested in that sort of in the helping fields. The helping fields is more for women, unless you're talking about medical. But he can bounce. I'm just gonna time folks. Horatio says only did it the once for a month and a half. Exercise and diet are always a big part of health too, of course. Absolutely. Like I said, most people don't realize the importance of nutrition and exercise. Half of their problems could be eradicated just through proper nutrition and exercise. Like I said, most of these people coming online, Horatio, that have all sorts of maladies or alleged maladies. Some of these people just need to get physically fit, especially guys. Like I said, guys are just more visceral. So being physically fit is going to be more beneficial for them in the long run. Maybe sometimes even more so than psychotherapy. Only downside is the important part to remember is that psychological stuff is all guesswork. Just deciding to be better is enough if you're strong. No, it's not. If that were the case, then clinicians would have an easy job. All they could do is have a patient come and say, "Hey, man, you just need more willpower." And he'd be like, "You know what, doctor? You're absolutely right. All I need is more willpower. Thank you. Here's your bill. I mean, here's my money for the bill. I'm out. I'm just gonna exercise more willpower, and I'm good." That's not how it works, dumbass. The problem is that everything psychological is also biological. If not, it would be very easy just to change things. He'd be like, "Hey, man, stop being depressed." He's like, "Doctor, that's brilliant. You're absolutely right. I'm just gonna stop being depressed." What a, you're fucking stupid, only Adonis. Go eat a biscuit. Versus is a stupid argument, Unc. With all due respect, not seeing SMT doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I don't know what SMT is, but say, here's how arguments work. Reverse. You can't nearly you can't merely say an argument is stupid. That's you don't defeat an argument by saying it's stupid. You have to counter argue an argument to show that it's somehow deficient in some way, that it's a unreasonable argument, or that it's an invalid argument, that is somehow that argument is somehow unconvincing. Merely saying this argument is stupid, that doesn't defeat the argument. That's not how it works. That's not how the principles of reason work. Show me where it is stupid, as you state. And again, I don't know what you're talking about when you say SMT. Maybe that's a typo. Um, Sean says, when I'm done with high school, I want to join the military. Should I join the Navy, Marines? Dude, you asked me that. I know I'm behind in the questions, but again, that's subjective. What branch of military you join, if you join at all, is a subjective is a that's a subjective preference. I can't tell you what military branch to join. You should be asking a parent that. That should be a discussion between you, a parent, a guidance counselor, and a recruiter. Uh, Agatha says, "Hi, Brad. Drop a super chat if you want a birthday shot to your brother." Exactly. Reversibly did him dirty, Unc. He did himself dirty. Designer says your classes are crooked and it's unsettling. Then don't look. Sure. Ray G says every generation of men, their testosterone levels are becoming lower. Watch what you eat and get your levels up, especially in America, because they put shit in our food that they don't allow in other countries. And we're talking about the same foods. Like this has been mentioned various times, but like say like a box of I don't know trick cereal, they will allow chemicals here that they won't allow in the EU, right? Because they have, or even in Canada, because they have higher health and nutrition standards than we do. As far as the testosterone, that might be a multifaceted problem. I don't think that's just due to what we're eating or not eating. I think that's part of it, but Also, it comes to less physically active levels. Like I said, we have more people who are obese. We have schools that don't have physical education every day. We have kids who are fat and eat flaming Cheetos every day. Ugh. Wait, did I unhide the wrong person? Wait. Um, Give me a second, guys. I may have been too aggressive with my moderation and hit the wrong person. Um, there we go. Designer, I don't know if they're bots or not. I don't really think they're, well, they're not bots because it's my channel. Like, to have bots, like, it, it, they're not going to be bots in a vertical live stream, but they're just trolls. They're not bots. They're just trolls. That's all. Most, like, a lot of these people designer are incels. This is why they're up at 1:30 in the morning talking on a live stream, which was the topic of the stream was actually about people's paranormal beliefs, because I often get these questions in other streams. So I said, all right, I will just do a stream about people's paranormal beliefs, and it's diverged from that original topic. But um, once you go past midnight designers, mostly trolls and incels. Like, these are people who only live online to cause chaos because they are pathetic in their actual physical lives. Otherwise, they wouldn't be up this late at night trolling someone and saying inane comments they would never say to this person in their face because they know they would get punched in the mouth. Catherine says they're trolls. Yep, yep, yep. But it does help me scroll through this more easily versus this uncle's not very nice easy. No, I'm not. I'm Gen X. Gen X, we're not nice. We were never known to be nice. If you want nice, go to millennials and go to Gen Z, who will be soft on you. Gen X, we're not soft. We were the last of the people who were not soft. This guy's saying I'm stolen valor. Dude, I could check my DD 214. Reverses, someone asked him nicely if he can talk to him in private, but he said a lot of not nice stuff. Dude, why would I want to talk to someone privately that I don't know? No, you don't. If you, if you saying I'm not being nice, do you realize how patently weird that is to go up to a, it would be, look, it would be it would be the equivalent of going up to a stranger, right, in the mall or at a store and say, hello, sir. Um, like, say that the person is working at the store, right? And a random customer comes up to him and say, hello, sir. Uh, can I talk to you in something complete? And can I talk to you in private about something completely unrelated to what's going on in the store? No, that would be weird and completely inappropriate. If you don't realize why that was so inappropriate for him to ask me if he can talk to me privately, no. Why would I want to talk to a fucking stranger online? I don't know who that person could actually be in real life. Why would I want to talk to him? Like it's not even it's not even analogous to the scenario I gave you, where at least I can see the person and I don't even see the person. I don't know who this person is in real life. Why would I want to engage in a private conversation with him, which means he has access to my personal personal identification offline? Because to engage with him, no. If he, but I did offer. I said, look, if you actually want to converse with me, you can do it on here, but you're going to drop a super chat. He wasn't willing to do that, so I told him be gone because it's very weird to ask a perfect stranger to hold a conversation with them about something completely unrelated to what's in the content of the live stream offline. No, that's weird. If you don't think that's weird, then there's something weird with you. Catherine says, I wish I could stay and listen, but I have a lot to do today. Take care, Trey. Um, take care, Catherine. Um, I was gonna ask you, did you want to get mod status? But if you're gone, you can let me know next time. Justin says, sir, I have that shirt. That's what's up. Chiefs fan. I don't even watch the NFL, bro. So sorry. Probably my wife is because she loves Taylor Swift. So, um, Reggie says there's whole school districts in Baltimore that don't read and and perform under the grade level. Definitely so. This is why we need to have charter schools because there's a lot of zone schools in Baltimore where these people are just they're they're not gonna go far. There might be like one or two. I might be exaggerating, but like in some of these zone schools in Baltimore, they're so bad. It might be like one or two well performing students out of a lot of them that aren't they're just producing people who are just um, functionally illiterate. That's the best way I could put it. Like a lot of these schools, these zone schools were just, and this is not just germane to Baltimore, but a bunch of inner cities in the United States where you just are have these underperforming schools where they're just producing a bunch of students who are functionally illiterate. Um, that's definitely the case, Reggie. Sad. Fahid says, "Do you hate Gen Z?" Genuinely curious. No, I don't. I don't hate any generation because what there's certain, like I said, every generation is known for certain things, and the things the Gen Z are generally known for is what I do dislike. I, so, but I don't like hate them outright. If that's what you mean, no. Mm-mm. But you can best believe that most of these people who are trolling are Gen Z. Almost all these trolls, Fahid, probably Gen Z, or even worse, they're probably Gen Alpha. They're kids that need to be asleep. No, I don't watch NFL C-Max. Locust Frost says, nah, man, that's not nice. Not all people have money, but still value your opinion. I'm not here to give them psychological advice. And I say that in every stream where I bring up scientific topics. I'm not here to be a clinician. Go seek professional help. There are community health centers that give free psychological help. So it's not about money, it's about your 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 initiative. Like, go seek out help. The same way you will seek out a fucking hamburger if your bitch ass is starving, you will seek out professional help if you really need it. Don't sit here and harass content creators with your psychological problems because we don't care. And I said that an hour ago. I said I'm going to be perfectly. I said I'm going to say something that sounds harsh, but people need to hear it because there's too many mental midgets online, especially when it gets late at this time. You have a bunch of retards that come on here who are either incels, trolls, or underage people who need to be the fuck to sleep, who cause a lot of distress to content creators who don't know how to handle dealing with trolls. I do. I'm just telling you, go fuck yourself. Eric, Iraq Life says Marines are Marines. Absolutely. I don't think I misspoke about that. I was saying, I get what you're saying. You're probably speaking on when I said the Marines are under the Department of the Navy. That is true though, bro. Like the the Marines are a separate branch, but they are under the Department of the Navy. That's that's a fact. This is why when you go to the Naval Academy, you can choose to either be a commissioned officer in the Navy or the Marines. Which, by the way, Naval Academy is near me in Annapolis. So, all right, I'm tired of reverse. Eric Wilkes says, "What's your thoughts on Elon Musk being part of the Trump administration?" Eric, you haven't been here in a while, have you? Um, I don't know. Like, he has his own new department. He's going to co-chair with Vivek Ramaswamy, the Department of Government Efficiency, or Doji, which he loves. I'm pretty sure that I'm pretty sure he named it himself just so it could be called Doji. But I don't know. Well, I don't know what to think about that yet. We'll see how it goes. Um, like I say, he has the highest level security clearance, a TSCI, which I don't know how he got a TSCI security clearance, being that he doesn't work with the sort of intel that you would need to have a TSCI security clearance anyway. But aside from that, um, I don't know how he will perform once he's being part of the Trump administration. We'll just have to see. Hopefully he does well with it. Um, I know he said that he and Vivek have already been studying other governments across the world and how they dealt with inefficiency. So we'll see how some of these governments easily were able to slash a lot of government pork. So I guess we'll see. Vesa says, "Do you have any knowledge on quantum mechanics?" No. You need to go college and take physics. Like, why would someone? No, I don't. Some of you need to stop smoking weed or doing psychedelics. Like, here's the thing about physics, whether you're talking about quantum mechanics or classical mechanics. If you can't do high level math, you can't do physics. So there's no point in discussing it. Most of you are uneducated, or you will realize that physics is a matter of knowing how to do high level mathematics. Like, I'm not going to discuss concepts in quantum mechanics randomly on a content stream that has nothing to do with what my topic was about, just because you want to spew random schizophrenic thoughts about what you think reality is. No, if you want to know about quantum mechanics, go buy um, a book on it, like um, Quantum Mechanics for Dummies. That's probably going to be a very easily accessible book on learning about quantum mechanics. Or even better, go study it in college. And if you say, well, I can't go take it in college, that means that you can't handle that sort of subject matter in the first place. Locust Frogs calls me LaForge. I guess you're referring to in Star Trek. That's actually not an insult. Commander LaForge was awesome. Anyway, would I go work at SpaceX? Yeah. Why wouldn't I? Deveza, I'm not going to talk about space physics and stuff. As that people who want to talk about physics who have no background in physics are just people who want to talk nonsense. If you don't, until you can actually do the math, you're not doing physics. You're just talking bullshit. Honestly, that's like saying let's talk statistics and you don't know anything about probability theory. Like, no, if you can't do the math, you can't do physics. No point discussing concepts with you because you read a because you watched a PBS special. Mm. Gas Berserk says he has a question. Well, if you have a question, then go ahead and ask it. Otherwise, you don't have to raise your hand in the chat room. Leave a super chat. Eric Roker says the best psychology experiments were done by the Nazis. That's not true. That's not true at all. The experiments they did. Um, First of all, they're not they're going to be the best psychology experiments because if you're doing something against if you're performing an experiment on a subject against their will, that's going to taint your results. So that's not going to be good psychology experiments. I think you mean the medical experiments they did on people. They did a lot of medical. They did a lot of involuntary medical experimentation on people. But doing a psychological experiment on an unwilling subject or participant is not going to yield um, results that they would be considered by a peer by that would be accepted by peer review. That would never fly. Like that wouldn't happen. You can't. No, you can't. Torturing people is not going to be it's not going to be valid um, a valid um, research methodology. Zeno says, "Have you seen a ghost?" No, I'm pretty sure no one else has either. KDS Blue 92 says we still have the strongest military in the world. I agree. Although it hasn't been for a lack of trying by putting in. Never mind, I'm not going to go there, but we do still have the best military in the world. We ought to. We put like trillions of dollars into it. Yes, I'm reading old comments, guys. It should be fucking obvious. Like I had 40 people in the chat that was all sending, all leaving comments. Mr. Sir says he already gave Ukraine long range missiles. Yeah, but he also just after the election, he also speedballed them $6 billion and handed them long range missiles, which they use to fire into the interior of Russia when they're already losing the war. It's not a good idea when Russia is a nuclear armed country that is always has the option to turn to release that on Ukraine and on NATO, which would then cause World War III if they hit NATO, any NATO country. Not a good, not a good, in the words of Tony Stark, not a good plan. Jay says Jesus and King loves us. Hal Barton says hello. Agatha says, I think I should call it a night. I should call it a night too, Agatha. I was just trying to speedball through the rest of the comments, but they're unending. I still don't know how many there are left. If you gotta go, go ahead and leave, Agatha, and I'll speedball through the rest of the chat room and call it a night. Joshua says, what's the last book you read? I think my GI Joe book. It's GI Joe number one, but well, it's GI Joe number one, but it was republished uh under which comics um I not IDW variant comics or whatever. So then I'm currently reading some other books. Hal says, who did you vote for? If you don't mind me asking. I voted for Trump, and I've talked about that in several streams. I don't have anything to hide because I'm not ashamed of my voting choices. Furkan says, so you hate being black? Where do you infer that? He said, okay, Snowflake from Glory. Really? So you're gonna ask me, do I hate being black? But then you're gonna make a racist joke about a story about Union soldiers who fought against slavery during the Civil War. Furkan, why don't you go take dusty, your little dusty sand nigga ass back to the fucking Hicks of whatever desert ass country you reign from and go fuck a camel. You said read my text, please. Oh, you sent me a text. Hold up. Oh, okay, no problem. All right, so my moderator is signing off, guys. So which means I'm going to be signing off as well. And most of these comments are very inane. Some of you need mental health help badly. Some of you are trolling and think that you're being funny, not realizing that you need psychological help. Others of you do know you need psychological help but aren't pursuing it. Wait, Did I just unhide this person? Oops. Let me. Respect my games as Casper is real. He says, "Do you feel good about talking down about an assumption of people who join your channel after a certain time?" Oh, you just called it an assumption. So if it's an assumption, then first of all, it wasn't an assumption. But again, if it is an assumption, why should I take it seriously? And it's not because it's after certain times, because most of the people is just a given. It's just it's just a given in live streaming that after a certain amount of time, the amount of quality conversation it goes down precipitously late at night. It's mostly a bunch of trolls. If you call that talking down to, I don't give a fuck, because a lot of these people coming on here at this time of night are retarded. They'd be better off going to bed and getting up early and exercising than being up all night harassing content creators or seeking for attention where they should probably be better off getting a fucking job, going to work, getting exercise, and seeking medical or psychological attention where they need it. And that happens during the daytime too, not just late at night, but it happens more so at night because it's just the given nature of many people who are mentally disturbed. They stay up late at night and they use social media as that outlet. You say your thoughts are based on Americans. Do you not know it's daytime somewhere else in the world? The people who are trolling Respect My Gamer are American. The ones who aren't American, again, not my problem. It's not my problem. The point being is that if you say something stupid, I'm gonna call you out on it. I don't care where you're from. And if you're saying something mentally unhinged, I'm gonna call you out on it. Again, I don't care where you're from. You sitting there trying to hold me to task at 2 o'clock in the morning ain't happening, bro. You don't know what effect is. Respect my grammar. You're saying so no comment on any of my facts. Dude, go to fuck to sleep. You're a fucking loser sitting there trying to you're sitting there trying to reason. You're trying to argument something that's not rational at 2 o'clock in the morning. Take your fucking dumb ass to sleep. You're going on timeout. Night, Agatha. Um, Thank you, Donald. He says, thanks for your service to our country if you truly serve. I did. I'm just wearing this because it's comfortable. No stolen valor here. um, no stolen valor here. Eric says, what are your thoughts on millennials and Gen Z going childless? The way some of these dummies are acting, Eric, they need to be childless. um, but hey, I mean, not everyone's meant to be a parent. Like, I'd rather people who aren't prepared or nor want to be parents not be parents than be forced to be so. I mean, we got over 8 billion people in the world. I know that people like Elon Musk are worrying about depopulation, but that's not going to happen for a very long time. Yeah. T Baptos is my leg is acting up. It happens when paranormal activity is in the house. So don't know what to tell you. Hello, Anchors. Where are you from? When you say Anchor, I'm guessing you're meaning the live streamer. I'm from Maryland. Donald A says people trying to keep up with our military is laughable. We probably only know 80% of what we have developed. Well, I don't know what our military research and development is doing, but I mean, the Pentagon can't account for $859 billion, so it better have gone somewhere good. I'm not gonna try to catch up with the bell. I mean, sorry, with the chat king bells. I'm about to go to bed. I'm not staying up all night just because other people have nothing to do with their lives late at night. And if you are on the other side of the globe where it's daytime, I would strongly suggest you find streamers in your own time zone. But you're getting annoying, so time out you go. Mm-mm-mm. What's up, Nikki? Why are you up so late? We're not talking paranormal. That was the content of the that was the original content of this live stream, but that was 3.5 hours ago, and people wanted to ask me a bunch of other stuff. So that'll have to wait for another time. Or you can leave when I upload this broadcast, you can ask me comments in the comment section, or you can watch this on replay once it's uploaded. But again, you can leave comments in the comment section once this broadcast is uploaded if you have questions about paranormal or whatever's been discussed previously in this live stream, upon watching this on replay. But I'm not going to sit up here and talk about paranormal 2 o'clock at night. I mean, 2 o'clock in the morning. That's just not going to happen. That could have happened 3 hours ago. If you're in the apologies if you're not in the United States, but again, I'm on Eastern Standard Time, so I'm not going to just stand up all night because you live in a different time zone. That's not going to happen. Oh no, no, Donald. You said if you read my military messages, disrespect. I promise you, it wasn't. People say they served the country and didn't. Thank you for knowing it was meant in respect. Oh yeah, yeah. I don't take that in disrespect. Like I said, I can't produce my DD-214 because I want to give people my personal information. But rest assured, I don't do stolen valor, and I highly dislike people who do that, including our governor Wes Moore in Maryland, who he did actually serve in the army, but he claimed some medals that uh, he didn't really earn. and then later try to cover up and say, well, they said I could put it on my DD 214, so I thought it counted, knowing damn well he lied about it. But he's known to be a liar, just like he claimed to be a Baltimore native. He never lived in Baltimore. He grew up in Tacoma Park, Maryland, which is a suburb of DC, of Washington D.C., and then grew up in New York City in the Bronx. Came to Baltimore when he briefly when he was a student at Johns Hopkins University, and then lied, and then moved back to New York after his college education and became a businessman or whatever. Then came back to Baltimore to run, to Maryland to run for governor, and claimed that he was a Baltimore native. So he's shown a pattern of lying, including about his military service. So I wouldn't do that. So Eric says, I believe cloning and test tube babies will explode in upcoming decades as a substitute for immigration and military, thus establishing third class citizens. That might be a little conspiratorial for my taste. As far as in vitro fertilization, I mean, that can help couples dealing with um, fertility issues. So that's not a bad thing. Cloning is not legal in the US, so that's not going to happen. That was as soon as Dolly the was it Dolly the sheep was made back in what 1998 or 96, whenever that came about, they had already made reproductive cloning illegal in the United States. So unless they change that law, I don't see that happening. Um, as far as the military, if we need military, we're just gonna start. They'll just start conscripting people to service again. I mean, that's why we still have selective service, is because um, through selective service, men can still be conscripted to service. They need to start conscripting women too, to be honest, because if they want to have all the privileges of men, they should have also the responsibilities of men. So, um, Donald says, "Good night, my brother from another mother." Thank you, Donald. Jeremiah says the paranormal is the super spectrum. I don't even know what that means. He said all of it's of one thing. Deep Baptist says, "I serve my country honorably." I hope that's true. Deep Baptist says cloning minorities is legal in some states. No, it's not. Reproductive cloning has been illegal in this country for like over 25 years. As soon as they, as soon as soon as biologists were able to actually successfully clone Dolly the sheep, um, they had already set about in Congress to make it illegal for reproductive cloning. So that's not true. And the population isn't declining because we accept a lot of migrants here. We have blossomed to 300 to almost 340 million people in the United States, which is the largest population we've ever had in this country. So the population isn't declining. Now, if you're talking about the population is declining outside of the current influx of migration, then that's true. But because we accept so much in such a huge influx of migration, our country is not going through depopulation like other homogenous countries are, like South Korea and Japan and China are. Um, Lucky says, "So where are you from?" I'm from Maryland. Eric says, "There's a saying when something is free, like an app or service, it means you're the product, your data and identity. Everything circles back to ownership and slavery. We want to own. We want to be owned." Oh, yeah, but that's a different topic for a different day. But I'm gonna call it here, guys. Again, if people want to talk more about these sorts of things, um, you can leave it in the comment section. Um, if you want to show support, you can. You can sign up for my membership and have access to my members only content. Most of it's like stuff for like being physically fit, but I might add other stuff once I have more memberships going. I'll add more member only content. You can like, subscribe, share. Once the channel grows, I'll probably do more. Um, Besides the live streams and YouTube shorts, I'll probably make more long form content. But a lot of stuff people are asking me, I've addressed in previous live streams or previous videos. So feel free to go through all my back catalog of content, because anything people have asked me, I've probably already addressed either in a previous live stream or in a previous long form content or in a previous YouTube short, because I've been doing this for 2 years. So I've addressed similar questions. Um, Other than that, that's it, guys. It's late. I'm tired. I shouldn't have stayed up this late, but rest assured, I won't be doing it again because I don't. I find it unsettling how comfortable people are with displaying their mental health problems late at night. Is So farewell. Bon nuit.